Stations. Oh, yeah. It's time for Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stat Scoresworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Zach with you this afternoon. Zach Boyd in for Brett Norsworthy as he is making his way back to the area from Dallas after a busy week at SEC Media Days these last couple of days. So we're here with you this afternoon to get you to the weekend. And we've got plenty of things to talk about. Really busy SEC week. A whole lot. I mean, pretty much every show this week has been dominated by the SEC, which has been a good thing. SEC Media Days was fantastic. But we'll probably get a little bit away from the SEC today. Bruce Marshall is going to join us at 4 o'clock. He was at SEC Media Day, so we'll probably talk a lot of SEC football with him. We'll also talk baseball with him as Major League Baseball is back up and running today after their All-Star break. But a lot of local things to talk about today. We've also got to talk about the Open Championship as they have wrapped up play over there for the day. And so we've got a cut line, and we'll talk about that as well. But Zach, thank you so much, first off, for joining us this afternoon, helping us out this afternoon. How are you today?
Yeah, man, I woke up from my nap for
there
this.
You go.
So here,
good nap? How long of a nap?
About a couple hours.
Are you a napper, or is it just like on like specific times I've got to take a nap?
No, it's any time I can get in a nap.
So you love naps? I
yeah.
mean, whether it's weekends, weekdays, you're napping.
Yes, like if I can break away for a few minutes just to get a nap in, I will. If I'm tired enough. Like,
how long are these naps? Because I've heard, because like for me, I used to be a big napper. Now the way my schedule is, I can just sleep in a little bit longer and not have to worry about taking a nap. But I used to take naps all the time, like in college and stuff like that. But my problem would be if I laid down for a nap, whether it's on the couch, in a bed, wherever I'm at, I was out for at least like an hour and a half. How long? Like, but I know some people are like, you got to take a cat nap, 20 to 30 minutes, and then you're back. How long naps do you take?
It's longer than that, man.
like 2 hours? Like, I mean, how long are we talking about?
Like 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
Like,
so you're going into hibernation.
Like it's actually sleep. Like
yeah.
I'm actually like getting some sleep in because
I
need it. Well, considering the fact that when I work down there at the Forum, I have to be there early.
Yeah.
Because I leave here like on a normal work schedule, crazy work schedule type of situation. Like I only got 4 hours in between.
That's true.
Before I got to get up and take care of my secondary responsibilities.
Well, it's very interesting, kind of the way your job's lined up. And it feels like I'm interviewing you. But, because if people don't know, you help out with the radio broadcasts for the Grizzlies, kind of on the technical side. And so, for you, I mean, you're up here at 6:30 in the morning to get ready for the morning show that starts at 7, and then during the basketball season you got to be at Grizzly games, and a lot of time those Grizzly games don't end till 10 o'clock.
No.
Who knows what time you're getting out of there at. And so I'm sure naps are very important for you.
Yes, and I definitely implements that into my schedule because I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna stay up after being one of the few people to be up in Memphis to be working that early, and not get a nap in between. That's just not happening.
Yeah, because I didn't even think about that, because usually the times I've helped out with the morning show, I usually would take a nap, but I'll try to be okay, I'm gonna get done and then I'm gonna go and be productive, and then I'll just go to bed early. But I didn't even think about, for you, a lot of days. That is interesting that you're early morning, late at night. You got to find some sleep in there at some point.
Back to backs are no joke. That's why I'm very I think last year when there's a back to back, I'm kind of very chill and mellow because I know like.
Oh yeah, you got to.
I gotta go back out there again.
Yeah,
So, but
wow.
it's all good though.
Well, I appreciate it.
It's all good.
You being here and helping us out today. Like I said, plenty to talk about. We're gonna get to a lot of the local stuff in a second. We were on yesterday afternoon when Zach Edey went down with his injury. We already talked about that a little bit earlier this morning, Zach, so we probably won't spend too much time on that. We did have a trade later this into the morning around lunchtime that we'll talk about. But I do want to give a little bit of an Open Championship update because let's see what time it is in Troon. It is 9:05 p.m. Over across the pond. So they're done for the day. And right now, Shane Lowry still in the lead, 7 under. He was 2 under today, so a 66 yesterday, a 69 today. Really great start for Shane Lowry. Daniel Brown, I never heard of him. I don't know.
Never heard of him either.
Don't know much about him. He's at 5 under alongside Justin Rose. Both those guys had pretty good days. Billy Horschel up there, T4. Scotty Scheffler, also T4. Certainly the biggest name, still kind of around the top. But looking down at the cut line is 6 over. So here are some guys that are done with golf for the weekend. Akshay Bhatia, I'm a big fan of him, young guy. He is done for the weekend. Will Zalatoris is done for the weekend. JT Poston is done as well. Let's see some other big names. Ludwig is done. He was 9 over. So was Bryson DeChambeau. So not good weekends for those two guys who are have shown this year really, really dominant at their craft. Tony Finau, 10 over for the weekend. Victor Hovland, also 10 over. Tom Kim, 11 over. Rory McIlroy, 11 over. How about this? A 78 yesterday, a 75 today for Rory McIlroy. Really struggled. Couldn't get anything going at all.
I mean, that's an improvement if you could.
I mean, I guess so.
Yeah, no.
I guess.
You
sure.
You dropped 3 scores
Sure.
from the first week.
We're not giving out. We're not giving out trophies for improving, though. You got to win, and not a good weekend for him. Tiger Woods, 14 over this weekend. Really, really tough for him. It was tough watching him out there. And those kind of all the big names down there. I didn't know this. John Daly and Ernie Els both withdrew after their first round. Both shot an 82 in the first round. Maybe they withdrew before. I don't know.
They got ahead. They got ahead of the curve.
Yeah, they said we're getting out of here. And I don't blame them. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I've said it on every show I've been on the last 2 days. It looks miserable over there. And I don't blame anybody for withdrawing. I wouldn't have even gone over there in the first place. I get it, it's a major, and you should feel fortunate to be able to participate in a major and like history and all that mumbo jumbo. But it just doesn't look fun to me. It looks cold. It looks rainy. It looks like nobody's having a good time except for Shane Lowry. And even Shane Lowry's not having a good time. He was yelling at a fan earlier today for like messing with their phone or their camera or something. And he was like, "Get out of my way! You're in my sight line." I mean, like, I don't think anybody's having fun over there. But I guess if you're into it, I like watching golf. I just am not enjoying watching this weekend. But that's what's going on at the Open Championship. Good stuff over there. Zach, we had a trade today.
Yes, we did.
The Memphis Grizzlies have made the decision that Zaire Williams, we are no longer in need of your service. He will now go up to the Brooklyn Nets. In return, they get a couple of guys that we will never see in a Grizzlies uniform, if I had to guess. And a lot of people saying that this should mean maybe a Luke Kennard signing could come any day because of all of that money they were able to free up by shipping off Zaire.
Yeah, like I think that was just a great move by the front office,
sure.
Man. Because we were sitting here thinking to myself, and funny enough that I'm joining you now because I remember asking Keith Smith about this.
That's right.
2 weeks ago? About the idea of fans wanted to package multiple picks to get these bad contracts out of it. And like Keith said, those 2 weeks ago, that it wasn't ideal. It's not ideal. I mean, you would love to do that,
Sure.
but it's not ideal because of the new CBA, and then with the Grizzlies being a team that's going to have big contracts on their books. You want those second round picks, so that you can either use for those. So basically use to kind of fill out rotations and different things like that. So the fact that they only gave up 1 second round pick just to get Zaire's contract off the books, I'm for it.
No, absolutely, and I think I think could turn out to be a win-win for both sides, because here's the thing, Zaire. Like, where was he going to play, if we're being honest, this year? I'm sure they would have liked to get him some minutes, but then you would have had the whole thing of, if he goes out there, doesn't look super sharp, isn't playing great, there's going to be a name that everybody's pointing to. Why is this guy not playing? Why is Zaire out there? Why is this guy not playing? So it was really getting tough for him. We know the history with injuries and everything that's been with him. It's been a rocky start to his NBA career, but now he goes to Brooklyn, a team that, if we're being honest, I think Brooklyn would say the exact same thing. They don't want to win anything this year.
Yeah.
They want to get Cooper Flagg, just like, 4 or 5 other teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
And you're seeing like the Utah Jazz making moves to try to position themselves in a spot to get Cooper Flagg. And so I think this is a good opportunity, because it's a lot of guys up there in Brooklyn. They don't really have a core. I asked Keith this a while ago, like right after the season, of like, what direction do you see Brooklyn going in? Because it feels like they're one of the teams, I always talk about it with the Oakland Athletics, where you see all these teams that they struggle, and then Grizzlies, an example. Grizzlies had those years where they were really struggling. Then, they had those bad years, and they use them. They go out and get Jaren in the draft. They go out and get Ja in a draft. They are able to, high IQ play, get Desmond Bain in a draft, and get some of these other guys. They've built now a core, and now are a team that can compete in the Western Conference. And so there are a lot of teams like that, but then there are teams like, Oakland in baseball, where it feels like the cycle of they get a couple of guys, then they trade them away, and it's kind of, they're back at the bottom.
Yeah.
And obviously it's a little different in baseball, but for basketball, like the Brooklyn Nets for the last however many years, they had that big three, and it didn't work out. They shipped all of those guys off, and it's like, okay, now Mikal Bridges is coming in. We're going to have something here. Nick Claxton, like this is going to be the group that gets it done, and we're going to build something new. And they start firing coaches left and right. They GMs left and right. Now Mikal Bridges is with New York, and so like this could be a really good opportunity for Zaire to go up there, get playing time, whether it's as a starter or off the bench, get good minutes, and still a very young guy, a guy that probably not going to do a lot of winning this year. But if something happens, you go out and get Cooper Flagg or Ace Bailey or one of these top 5 guys that are, really look like they could be can't miss prospects in this draft next year. They could start building something in Brooklyn, and with his age, and if he can stay healthy, he could be a part of that. And so I think it's definitely maybe a win-win for both sides.
Yeah, and also the biggest thing is like there's a pathway to play for him.
Exactly. Because there's no easy pathway. For play.
Because there's absolutely no way that he's going to see the court this season. And then if you look at it, because you can make a case that Jalen Wells getting drafted in the second round now, albeit high second round pick, but the fact that he's 6'8", he comes in touted as a shooter in college.
Sure.
And from the D2 ranks as well. Like, you can sit here and say, like, okay, cool. Like, if Jalen Wells gets a little bit stronger, can find his shot consistently, which, I mean, during the summer league, it looked like he's able to knock down shots once the confidence starts to go through.
Sure.
I mean, he's that guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, and the thing with Jalen Wells is, kind of had some struggles, especially early in summer league with that shot, but you can see him working through it, and you can see him, improving as he gets more comfortable with this team and in the system, and so yeah, I mean, I think what this team has done with a lot of those, later draft picks has been impressive. I mean, Cam Spencer, I think you can throw in there as well. I mean, a guy that was, much later in the draft. And, I think a guy that when he was drafted, everyone said, oh, okay, that's cool. You get a UConn guy. Like, he'll come in. He'll be a G League guy for a couple years, if they even sign him.
Right.
Maybe give him a two-way or something. And then G League for a year maybe, and then he's off the team. And
right.
Now this summer league, who knows if it can last or if it turns into something. But he's been playing really well, and I think it's gonna be a name a lot of people are keeping an eye on in the G League next year. Both those guys, and so you're right. I mean, this group has done good, and it's just it feels like I don't know if everything's gonna work out, if all these guys are gonna work out. But you look at what they've done, and with Vince and with Gigi and now these two guys late in the second round, like the opportunities were really starting to become thin for Gigi or for Zaire. And so I think now obviously if you're the Grizzlies, you love this move because it's going to be a whole lot easier to figure everything out with Luke Kennard, which I think we can all agree you want Luke Kennard on that roster next year.
Of course.
So no, I like this move. I'm curious. I think this will be the only move before the season, but I am curious what this rotation looks like and if we might see more moves during the season.
I think you'll see a move during the season. Maybe it just depends. I don't know. It just depends. Depends on who's available.
But I'm saying, like, what player do you think would be moved from the Grizzlies?
You might look at Smart.
Really? Oh, see, that's not the name I thought you were going to bring up.
Then what name you thought I was going to bring? Laravia? I mean, I think they like him enough to where they want to keep him.
Yeah.
Because remember, like the earlier reports, like teams were checking in on Laravia, not Zaire.
That's true.
And so, I think that was one report that said that teams were more interested in Laravia than any other wing that's available.
That's strange
from the Grizzlies. So I think, look, that's the thing too about Laravia. If he can bottle up this performance or these performances,
sure,
and bring it with him to training camp and preseason and at least the start of the season, if he's getting playing time, if he can bottle that up and bring it over when the season starts, then okay, it's going to work out the way that we all intended his role is going to work out.
But I gotta see it first. I mean, I feel like
of course you got to see it.
I feel like
Definitely.
We've played this game with Jake Laravia like every offseason where It's like, oh man, look at what he's doing. Well, it's not even every offseason, Zach. It's every season during and in the offseason. It's like, oh, okay, Jake Laravia is not doing anything for the Grizzlies. Let's send him down to the G League. Okay, Jake, it was fun while it lasted. It's not going to work out. Then he goes to the G League. He balls out and, is averaging like 20 points in the G League. And then it's like, oh, okay, maybe bring him back up. And then he can't do anything with the Grizzlies. And then it's okay. Now we're to the offseason. Summer League rolls around. Jake, get out there and show us what you can do. He's lighting it up. He's playing great. Back to the season, it's the same exact thing. Very much like a 4A player, kind of a baseball reference there. But, like, I just don't know if I trust regular season Jake Laravia.
And that's fine. Like, I'm not putting 100% trust in it, but I'm just saying from their aspect of it.
Sure.
That's because the whole point is, like, Laravia, when he was out on the floor, he was inconsistent. Let's start off with there.
Very
inconsistent. And then two, like, Buddy had a bad break of injuries at times.
He did.
So
very similar to like Zaire. I mean, injuries have not been kind to the Grizzlies these last couple of years.
So you're just hoping that health stays, the same, and then you go into this season and that he can find some type of consistency with his offensive game.
Yeah. Speaking of injuries, Zach Edey.
Man, don't get me started.
Well, yeah. I did feel bad, and, ESPN, what are we doing? There was a group of, let's see, at least 4. Maybe there was 5. There might have been an exclamation mark at the end. But there were, like, 4, like, probably, like, high school kids at the game last night, and they were all wearing white shirts, and they in Sharpie had written out Edey on one letter per shirt. and each one was wearing one, and they were all, it spelled out Edie on their shirt. So when they stood, it said Edie.
Mm-hmm.
And like 5 minutes after the injury, ESPN close-up shot on all of these kids just sitting there looking so disappointed because you could tell all they wanted to do was watch Zach Edey, and now Buddy's injured, and they just looked so sad. And I was like, ESPN, we did not have to do that.
No, but it shows the impact that Zach Edey has.
That's right, Edey mania.
He is a 7'4" traditional center.
That's right.
Having fans, man.
Well, he was a big deal at Purdue. So, no, it's interesting. But now, Summer League games today, I think one might have started already. But we've got some interesting games throughout the day. Grizzlies are done. We've got games today, games tomorrow, and then Sunday will be the semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
And Grizzlies locked into the semifinals. We just don't know what seed yet. Probably going to be a pretty high seed, but we should find that out. A better picture of it later today and into tomorrow. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Alan Bell from the AB3 and Driving the Line. He'll join us to talk some wagering. Plenty of things to talk about with him, mostly Major League Baseball, as they're back to it today. The Cubs and the D-backs have already started. That was about a 1:20 first pitch in Chicago, a little matinee Cubs game. And right now, the Diamondbacks 5-1 lead over the Cubs in the top of the 7th. So we'll talk some baseball with Alan Bell at 3:30. 3:45, we'll talk some more NBA and the Grizzlies. Talk about this injury to Zach Edey and what it might mean for the rest of the offseason and going into the regular season. 4 o'clock, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. He'll join us. He was at SEC Media Days this week, so we'll get his thoughts from that. Also talk some Major League Baseball with him. 4:30, we'll talk some more baseball. As like I said, everyone back to it today and some really good matchups into this weekend. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Keith Smith. He usually joins us on Thursday, but nice enough because of the craziness of SEC Media Days to join us on Friday. Him from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. We'll talk some NBA with him at 5 o'clock. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. We'll talk a little bit about the Tigers basketball. The conference opponents were announced for the Tigers. Also, the basketball tournament started today. Zach, I don't know how familiar you are with TBT, the basketball tournament. Are you familiar? I guess I should just form that as a question.
Yeah, the
basketball tournament?
Yeah, like the alumni basketball
sure.
tournament.
Yeah. So it just started today. No Tigers alumni team, but a lot of former Tigers playing for different teams. Actually, probably most notably, Jeremiah Martin playing for Aftershock, which, for those unhip on TBT, that is Wichita State's alumni team. How do you feel about that? I mean, Jeremiah Martin playing for a conference foe. I'm sure it's fine. I'm excited to watch Jeremiah play. Some other guys, too. We'll go through it. The Lawsons are playing, or a couple of the Lawsons are playing. So we'll talk about that as well at 5:30. 5:45, wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Summer is here, and it's time to party. 24-foot above-ground pools for $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and robotic cleaners, 20% off. Select in-stock patio furniture up to 50% off. Play gyms up to $1,000 off, and patio umbrellas 20% off. 4-person hot tubs only $29.99. And don't forget about the discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while supplies last. So head over to Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40. A reminder, you can join the show. Hit up the Sissy's Log Cabin text and listener line 901-360-8255 to join in on any of the discussions. And as always, all of our guests will join us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. And this hour, as always, is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Brett usually tells you about all of the great deals over at Lexus, and with summer here, they've got some great deals over there. So a perfect time this weekend to head over there and check out and get yourself into a new car at Lexus of Memphis. But let's go ahead and get to top story of the day.
Top story of the day.
Well, Zach, my top story of the day has got to be these last 24 hours for the Memphis Grizzlies. It's been really a roller coaster. About a little more than an hour ago yesterday was when the tweet came across my timeline that said Zach Edey will play for the Grizzlies tonight against, who they play yesterday? The Pelicans? What it was?
Yeah, Pelicans.
All right, Pelicans. He'll play against the Pelicans, and then about an hour after that, Zach Edey goes down with an injury, landed on an opponent's foot, and immediately went down on that ankle. Didn't look great when it actually happened, but then he was able to get up and walk off and then walk back to the locker room. He did not return to the game. No real updates or anything on the severity of it. I don't think it's very severe at all. We talked about this earlier, Zach. I saw a lot of people on social media, on Twitter specifically, talking about that ankle. Different ankle. So the first one, this one was his left ankle. The first one was this one was his right ankle?
Yeah, in Las Vegas, it was his right ankle.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was his right ankle.
Okay, I'm trying to watch it back in my head. Okay.
His left ankle, he twisted his left ankle in Salt Lake.
And then last night was, yeah, you're right. Okay, I'm watching it now in my head. You're right. So left ankle first, right ankle last night, but a lot of people were a little confused and thought that it, and I mean, I guess I understand it. You know, you see a guy go down with an ankle injury. He was just out for an ankle injury, and you're like, dadgummit, it's the same ankle. Because, right? Like, it's got to be. But different ankle. And just, I mean, a basketball play, like, that happens a lot in basketball. You roll your ankle, you land on a foot, you know, things happen. I don't think it's severe at all. I would not be worried about it if I was a Grizzly fan. I think he'll be perfectly fine by the time the regular season starts. But I mean, it is kind of a bummer when you kind of think of what last season was with all of the injuries, and then you get a guy that, you know, for better or for worse, one of his calling cards before the draft was, this guy doesn't get injured. You're not going to need to worry about injuries with him. And then the 2 games he plays in Summer League, he goes down with an injury in both games. Again, neither were severe. Neither are anything to worry about, but it is just kind of, you know, Grizzlies' luck at this point is kind of what it seems. But then today they go out and they make the move and get they trade Zaire Williams away to Brooklyn. In return, they get a couple of minimum contracts that you know, they will probably waive those players if I had to guess, and free up a lot more room for Luke Kennard, which everyone's been waiting ever since the day free agency opened for something about Luke Kennard. It feels like we're close to an answer, and it feels like maybe, I don't know, Zach, how you're feeling about it, maybe by Monday we might have an answer
on Luke Kennard. I think so.
Okay.
I mean, here's the thing, like I bet that Luke and the Grizzlies had a contract already agreed to. It was just a matter of trying to free up some extra money. I think that's the biggest thing, because the Grizzlies, they're trying to stay away from that, well, second apron, but they're definitely doing their best to find flexibility, get some good contracts so that they don't have to be in that first apron for right now. But yeah, like I think at some point, like he's going to get a contract. There's going to be some type of announcement. I know it was. I'm more than sure it was already agreed to. It's just a matter of just freeing up some
trying
money.
to figure out that money situation.
Yeah,
I think you're right about that.
Not top story of the day.
Well, really quickly, because we got to get to a break. My not top story is the Open Championship, British Open, whatever you call it. I've not enjoyed watching it, and I'm going to just continue to hammer that point home. I hope there are people out there that love it, because I don't. And we need to get to a break. Our first break of the day. When we come back, got to talk a lot of baseball, a lot of wagering. Alan Bell from the AB3 and Driving the Line, he joins us next.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
There are many real estate companies out there, but then there's Banyan Tree Realtors on the Tigerville Town Square. There are hands-on, family-owned boutique real estate companies whose agents have been offering exceptional attention to their clients for over 40 years. In an ever-changing world, Banyan Tree continues to maintain a small-town personal charm while providing a worldwide connection through its internet marketing presence. Personal service will never go out of style at Banyan Tree Realtors. Their agents are people you can trust, offering service you deserve. From residential homes to commercial properties, farmland, land lots, and historical houses, Banyan Tree has the expertise you can rely on. So if you're downsizing, upsizing, moving in, or moving on, give Banyan Tree Realtors a call today. Craig Smith and Mary Jean Smith and their agents are ready to serve you. Call today at 901-620-8920 or 901-359-2520.
Buster's Butcher at 199 South Highland Street in Memphis. We're a full-service butcher shop offering a curated selection of quality meats, cheeses, prepared foods, and more. At Buster's, our skilled butchers are also experienced chefs. They'll be delighted to guide you on selecting, preparing, and cooking our fine selection of products. We're like nothing else you can find in Memphis. Learn more at bustersbutcher.com and come see why every cut counts at Buster's Butcher.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Hey, Rock and Ronnie Smith, it's the biggest, the story that it gossip. Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram out on the pipe. Yo, Rock and Ronnie, what you got going on?
I've got 2023 Jeep Renegade Latitude 4-wheel drive, $26,095 for $388 a month.
That's a rockin' Jeep deal. What else you got, Ronnie?
Power up in a 2023 Dodge Charger SXT, $26,795 or $398 a month.
And Ronnie, I know you're into big business stories, that you gotta have an incredible Ram deal.
2024 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab 4-wheel drive, $697 a month.
Rock and Ronnie is rocking some deals today, so drive past the rest and come to the best at Gossip Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram out on the Piker. Shop online at gossipmotorcars.net.
Renegade Triple P 57256, MSRP 31095, Charger PH 636170, MSRP 37215, Ram RN 203232, MSRP 588. Price includes all rebates and incentives and excludes PF 695. All exclude tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Dealer stock only.
O'Reilly. Save money today on your next full synthetic oil change at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get a $10 gift card after rebate when you buy 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil for just $35.95. Our professional parts people can recommend the oil change supplies you need at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store or at O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Well, no Brett Norsworthy today. He's making his way back from SEC Media Days down in Dallas. Zach Boyd, nice enough to help us out this afternoon. Bryant Dacus with you. And joining us now, Alan Bell from the AB3 and Driving the Line. He joins us now to talk some wagering. And Alan, what's this week been like for you? I know getting after it with Major League Baseball, but no Major League Baseball this week. What have you been doing to fill your time?
Man, first off, appreciate you guys having me back. And second, oh my gosh, it's been brutal, man. Like, it's so weird, like looking up, you know, like at the ESPN or whatever, and you're like, there are no sports on today.
Nothing.
Like, I have no idea what I'm going to do.
That's right.
But thankfully, you know what? We all got through it. Pretty much now until the end of the year, like, we're going to have something going on for any sport. Yeah, every day now.
Well, I feel like I have to thank the college football video game for coming out on Tuesday. You know, that
How
comes
is it?
out. Oh, it's great. I mean, it's difficult. I'll be honest. The amount of interceptions I've thrown this week has been incredible. But it's great. I mean, being able to play those teams and in those stadiums. I mean, it's great. It's awesome. I cannot recommend it enough to people, even though I think everybody probably has their hands on it. So that's helped me out a little bit. But for you, what are some of the storylines out of the All-Star break? I know the next biggest thing for Major League Baseball is obviously the trade deadline, but what are some storylines that you're keeping an eye on out of the break?
Yeah, so, okay, a couple of them, right? So, all right, you're speaking of the trade deadline. All right, so the Los Angeles Dodgers, okay, where are they going to go, right? Like, are they going to go for it? Like, they need pitching. And not only one, maybe not only two, they might need three pitchers, right? Like, I mean, this team has just fallen apart, and, you know, obviously injuries are a big part of that. Mookie Betts, you know, in their lineup as well. So I'm interested to see what the Dodgers do. All right, what about the Baltimore Orioles, all right? You know, started off pretty much the hottest team in Major League Baseball, but, you know, for about 3 weeks leading up to the All-Star break, dude, they were falling apart. So, do they bounce back? What do they look like? You know, do they do anything before the trade deadline? And then the Phillies, man, like, you know, they've really been, you know, the cream of the crop, so to say, but when they have injuries to Schwarber and Harper, who are both back now. But, you know, do they continue on, right? Like, those are really the big three teams that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. You brought up the Dodgers, and I heard this. I was just trying to find it. I couldn't find it. I forgot who I heard say this. I think it was last week. Dodgers are playing the Detroit Tigers, and somebody, maybe from MLB Network, said that the last 15 postseason starts for the Dodgers, they've not had a pitcher go into the sixth inning, which is incredible to even think about. And so he was talking about how they really need to add pitching, and it was the game where Trick Skubal was going against the Dodgers, and he said this is a guy that they could really look to at the trade deadline to try to go after that could really give them that length as a starter. When you look at Trick Skubal and this Detroit Tigers team, I feel like they're at a weird spot. I feel like you ask anybody and they'll give you a different answer. Some people say, oh no, Detroit's going to stick with what they have and they're going to try to build around this young core. Other people will say, no, they're going to get rid of Skubal at the deadline. There's going to be a good price for him. What do you think Detroit does at the deadline?
Well, you know, I'll say this, man. You know, what you do with is, you know, you take a look at what you have in the market, right? It's like owning a house. You know, you can put it on the market. Doesn't mean you have to sell it,
sure,
but you can get a value, right? So I think that what you do is you pin that, you know, to the Dodgers and then the Orioles, right? And you say, okay, all right, you know, you two are bidding against each other.
Yeah.
What are you going to give us? And you know, if you're the Tigers, you know, you'd hate to lose a guy like that, but there's so much value that could be had, especially if you get two big teams, you know, bidding against each other, especially the Dodgers, the money that they have. So, you know, I would definitely, you know, put it out there, float it, see what you can get. And if the price is right, man, make the deal, because as good as he is, man, like adding value, you know, for a market like that, man, that's how you get better.
Oh, for sure. And I think, I mean, they've got some young players up there in Detroit. Maybe adding a few more prospects wouldn't hurt. When you look at the Cardinals, right now 50-46 coming out of the break, a big series this week against the Braves. What do you think they can do, maybe not trade deadline-wise, but just the rest of the season, the rest of the way? How do you view this Cardinals team finishing?
Yeah, so, okay, well, I'll tell you this, man. I mean, look at the trade deadline with the Cardinals, right? Like, I think they're in a good spot where they could possibly find some value at bringing in. But we'll see, because you don't want to get rid of anybody that's on your roster because of exactly this. The Cardinals are playing over their heads, man. Like, they're playing good baseball. Like, this team, it has talent, but it's very young talent, right? And you know that they're going to have a good, pipeline, AAA, AA, et cetera. But, yeah, I mean, I would just continue what you're doing, man. And, you know, if you could add some value before it, do it. If you can't, that's okay, man. You know, just continue to get better. That, I think of any fan base in Major League Baseball that would understand that this team is playing better than really where they should be. And you know what? You don't have to win a World Series this year, but if you end the season at a higher note positively, that fan base will be behind it 1,000,000%, right? So I think it's just continuing to evaluate what you have, and if you can make a run at something, do it. But just don't go crazy. Like, that's the big thing. And, with the Cardinals, they rarely ever do.
I want to get to some of these games tonight, but before we do that, SEC Media is this week in Dallas. What was your biggest takeaway from the week?
My biggest takeaway was that it was kind of quiet, to be honest with you, man. And after we saw what, Gundy over at Oklahoma State, when he talked about DUIs and
that's hard to top.
Yeah, and I think every coach got the point. They were like, you know what? I'm not saying anything. I'm not being funny. I'm not being anything, right? Which is how you want to do it.
That's right.
And especially with Texas and Oklahoma coming in, I think that, every coach understands that as tough as that league is, it just got more difficult,
sure
right?
Did.
So it's like, okay, let's evaluate what we have. And, we see teams like Georgia that, are going to be favored up there at the top, but what does Alabama look like without Nick Saban, right? I think there's a lot of optimism from a lot of teams, which is good because it shows that the talent levels across, pretty much the entire league are pretty good, man. I think it's going to be a fun year.
Well, for me at least, like I'm obviously seeing what all these teams, especially in the SEC, are doing in the offseason, transfer portal-wise and stuff like that, and obviously watched the games the year before. But SEC Media Days for me is really when I my first time looking at the schedule and different things for some of these teams. And looking at them, and easy to say, all of these schedules are tough in the SEC, especially when you get to the conference slate. When you start looking at win totals and different things like that, how tough is it to kind of peg the SEC?
It's brutal, dude. It's brutal because not only, the schedules, got that much more difficult and, adding in Texas and Oklahoma, but they've changed. I'll give you a perfect example. Tennessee and Florida have played each other that third week for, God, how long? 25 years?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, now it's different. Now it's Oklahoma, right? So it's like, okay, well, that's going to be different for Tennessee. And then you have Florida, later in the season. And I just use that as an example. Every team's kind of dealing with that, man. So I think that, you want to find either teams that have ridiculous standards, like a Georgia. If you've got that at, 11.5 or 10.5, that's hard to do, man. And that's nothing against you. They could have a really good team and lose 2 games.
Sure.
You look at, a team like Florida, right? Like, even though their win total's low, I think Florida arguably has the most difficult schedule in the country.
Oh, yeah.
It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal, and especially with a coach who could get fired. Yeah, man, you want to play that into it as well. And then teams that are in the middle, Ole Miss, great team to take a look at of playing it over. I think that they're going to be better than people give them credit for because they're flying under that radar exactly where you want to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and it's interesting you said that. You talk about Georgia. They're a great team, but it's not hard to lose 2 games, especially when you're playing the SEC. And I've been saying that to my friends when we talk about the Memphis Tigers, and obviously a lot of optimism about this season and with the 12-team college football playoffs. And I'll find myself saying they could go 11-1, and then I'm stopping myself right after going, man, 11-1 is tough no matter who you are, how good you are, because you can lose any Saturday. So yeah, that sounds it sounds brutal to have to do these over and unders for the SEC. Last thing for you, Alan, before we let you go, back to Major League Baseball. We've got 1 game already going on. D-backs on top of the Cubs, 5-1. What else do you like today in Major League Baseball as a pretty good slate tonight?
Yeah, it's a great slate. The big thing is, how do these teams come out after the All-Star break? The Cubs down 5-1 at home, everything's normal, right?
That's right.
But no, yeah, man, I'm taking a look at, the Cardinals and Braves. You've got a total of over 7.5. You have 2 good pitchers that are on the mound. However, Atlanta is the best hitting conditioned park across Major League Baseball today. Humidity is through the roof. Fly balls are going to be flying out, man. So I like the over in that one. The Mets, no team was hitting better going into the All-Star break than the Mets. And the number 2 hitting condition park is the Miami Marlins. You got a total of over 8. I like the Mets to get all over Miami as well. And then you look at, what do you do with the Orioles and Rangers? Rangers stayed at home for the All-Star game. Corbin Burns is starting for the Orioles. He just started the All-Star game a couple of days ago. I don't really win an inning or two, but still, it's different. So I think that you're going to see some runs and an over 7.5 in that game as well.
All right, so a couple overs for tonight. I like that a lot. Nothing better than a Friday night just sitting around trying to watch teams mash the ball. That sounds like exactly how I want it. Exactly. So, but Alan, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you again next Friday.
Hey, look forward to it, buddy. Thank you so much, man. You have a good one.
Thanks, Alan. Alan Bell from the AB3 and Driving the Line. He joins us every single Friday to talk some wagering, and we're getting closer and closer to the football season, and we'll be breaking down a lot of these games on Saturdays and on Sundays, so I'm super excited for that. But baseball, a couple overs from him. He likes the over in Cardinals-Braves, the over in Mets-Marlins, and the over in Orioles and Rangers. I like that. I can get down with it. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the NBA and the Grizzlies, what this offseason has been, and maybe what could happen in terms of a deal for Luke Kennard. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey everybody, together let's drive to the beach, to the lake, to the mountains, to anywhere in what you really want to drive in. I'm out here at Olive Branch at All-Star Chevy. Hundreds of new and pre-owned Silverados are out here right now, some marked 12% off invoice. Add up all the All-Star special discounts and look for Costco member deals. It's one sweet buyer's market with financing as low as 1.9. No payments for 90 days on a bunch of new All-Star Chevys. And nothing beats road trips in a new Tahoe. And get an extra $500 bonus if you're in healthcare, an educator, a college grad, military, or first responder. And no matter what pre-owned you're looking for, it's here at Olive Branch. Jeeps, 4Runners, Expeditions, Navigators, all the trucks here in Olive Branch where you could drive them all. Bring any vehicle you want to sell and get a big check today. So let's go. Don't miss All-Star Chevy's special summer sale going on right now in Olive Branch, or go to allstarautogroup.com.
If you love sports and Mexican food, you can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Graham. Watch all the big games on all the big TVs on all the walls at Los Cabos. And enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with lunch specials from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $3.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at Los Cabos on Summer near Graham.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Fiveash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
It's the Gossett Mitsubishi Motors Summer Sales Event, and you will find a better bang for your buck. So get to Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike and get 43 MPG Highway and 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage, $17,980 or $299 a month. 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, $26,530 or $379 a month. 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, we Gossett, $26,530 or $379 a month. And get vacation ready in 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander, $29,900 or $399 a month. Plus peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
500 military rebate, 500 loyalty, and 500 trade-in assist. Mirage, RHO 10843, MSRP 18480. Sport, RU1 11873, MSRP 28030. Outlander, RCO 63695, MSRP 314. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
You watch sports. You listen to sports. Now let's talk sports. Well, not anymore, because Sports 56 is opening the airwaves overnight. From 12 midnight till 6 a.m. for people like you to talk sports during your own 1-hour radio talk show on Sports After Dark. For 1 hour, tell us what's really on your mind regarding sports. Your favorite sports team, favorite player, discuss pre-games, post-games, all games. Let's talk. Orientation is required. Interested applicants must contact the podcast center at gmail.com or call 901-468-3097. That's the podcast center at gmail.com or 901-468-3097. Amateur and professional talk show hosts encouraged to apply. Required orientation is Saturday, July 20th, or you can take it online at your leisure at the podcast center, Memphis.com. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Brian Gates.
Brian and Zach with you this afternoon as we get you to the weekend. I know we said we were going to talk NBA and maybe some Grizzlies here, but I just saw a video on Twitter. Chris Vanini, I don't know where he is, or if this is from last week at Big 12 Media Days, but he just posted a video on his Twitter showing how the college teams are now going to have the ability to have tablets on the sidelines and different things like that. And so he has somebody basically explaining to him how it's going to work and the different angles and everything that they have for this upcoming season. It's using Kansas, and I don't know who Kansas is playing in that game, but Kansas versus somebody. And I don't know why we haven't had this. I don't know why we haven't had this technology before now. Like why did it take this long to get these tablets approved for college use? Because the NFL has been using it for a long time. But, college is just now coming there. I just don't see why we've waited this long.
I mean, college has always been waited.
I know. Maybe that's the problem. I mean, what are we doing? No. He's explaining all this stuff, and I'm like, of course they should have this stuff.
Yeah.
Of course you should have a tablet on the sideline showing the plays, and that you can. I think even more in college should have it than the pros, because college kids are still kind of learning.
Come on now, Brian. Here's the thing: you can't go wrong with paper and a binder. You know.
I guess so. You
got to break it down by drives. You know.
This guy's explaining. He's like, yeah. So there's 3 different angles, and basically all of this stuff's going to be instantly uploaded to the tablets, like right when the tackle's made or whatever, and then you can draw on it to show things, and you can zoom in to really highlight something. And I'm like, of course. Why has it taken this long? And so I think two of the big conferences are using Microsoft tablets.
Mm-hmm.
And then the SEC and one other conference is using Apple. So just iPads, I guess.
Oh, is that nice?
It's going to be, SEC, they got money over there.
It just means more.
It does. And so it means they have to have an iPad. Sounds about right, honestly.
It just means more,
Wait,
man.
you're telling us we have to have a Microsoft tablet over there?
It's like, I got to choose between Microsoft tablets and an iPad?
We'll go with the iPads. No, but I think it's crazy that we've waited this long. But how long? Here's my over-under for you, and I don't know. I need help setting the over-under, so if anybody has any suggestions, 901-360-8255, let us know. Over-under how long it takes for quarterback, receiver, those are kind of the prima donnas, so that's why I throw them out there. Could be a running back, could be an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, whatever. If feel like it's going to be an offensive player, though, because they make mistakes. Maybe a corner gets blown by on a play. Who's the first player? What week is it where a player slams an iPad or a Microsoft tablet on the ground during a game? I mean, we've seen it before in the NFL.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's week 1, to be honest with you.
What was it? Did Peyton slam an iPad one time or a tablet? I guess he used Microsoft.
Tom broke an iPad.
That's true. So you're telling me those guys are breaking it and a 19-year-old kid isn't?
Well, here's the thing. I could.
A player tried to fight Nick Saban in one game.
Okay.
I mean,
all right. So now hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Because as I sit here and think about it, I think it's going to be much later in the year.
Really?
Why?
Yeah. Why?
Because student athletes are very careful about breaking stuff because it doesn't belong to them. Now they got the NIL money if they want to try to replace it, but you don't want to replace stuff that doesn't belong to you.
That is true. I don't know. I could just see some, I don't want to throw any teams out there, but I could just see prima donna quarterback or prima donna receiver, and he gets mad because he threw an interception and just slams on the ground, and we catch it on ESPN or something. That'd be great. Yeah. I mean, I would love that. Saturday afternoon, I'm just sitting there watching Vandy and Texas or something like that, and
you see Quinn Ewers just getting upset.
Quinn Ewers just throwing 2 interceptions to Vanderbilt, and he's just like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me!" And slams the iPad. I could say other words, but we're on the radio.
I don't think it's gonna get to that point. Maybe, like I said, maybe until later on in the year.
Do you? Does it happen this season that we catch? Look, it might happen and we don't see it. I don't care about that. But I'm saying you're watching a game and they're like, quarterback Zach Boyd frustrated on the sidelines. Here's what just happened over there, and it's a video of you watching it and then you slam it. Do you think we're gonna get that on ESPN?
Kick it. That's what I'm gonna do.
I like that.
Put it in
an iPad fly onto the field. Where'd that come from?
What flying object is this?
Starting quarterback just punted the iPad. I love it. So I'm excited for that new stuff. It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be this year. I know it's gonna be this year. But to start the year off, I don't think so. I think they're gonna be very kind of chill about it. The coordinators and the quarterbacks coaches and the receiver coaches, they're gonna be like, all right, guys, give me the iPad. All right, cool, and kind of just put it off to the side,
Yeah, I think it's a genius move. I think it's idiotic that it took this long for colleges to implement this. The stuff looks cool. They've got 3 camera angles. One's the broadcast angle. One's the Alt 22, and then the other is an end zone cam. So it's gonna be cool. I think it's great. These guys are still learning, obviously, at the college level, so might as well have it. If we have it in the pros, you should have had it in college before, I think. I think high school should have it if they can, afford it. But it's going to be – I know a lot of schools I went to wouldn't be able to afford that stuff. So we'll see what happens, but that's going to be a lot of fun. We need to get to a break, though, and when we come back to start our second hour – Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. He'll join us. He was at SEC Media Days during the week. Maybe we can ask him about the new tablets that these teams will be using. But we'll talk some SEC Media Days with him. We'll also talk some baseball. That's next on Sports Time.
Cruiser styling packed with modern innovations, riders of all skill levels choose a Honda Rebel. Incredible motorcycles with a stripped-down style and a full package of features. Both the 300 and the 500 offer compact power inside a lightweight frame. Combined with a low slim seat, the Rebel is easy to start on. And with new colors for this year, they are impossible to ignore. Go to Desato Honda to check out the 2023 Honda Rebels. Cruisers with high-end style and performance to enjoy every second. Use the street as a racetrack with the law with the
Hi, it's The Herd. Whether you shower in the morning or at night, chances are you want to hop in right away instead of standing and waiting while your water heats up. My friends at Navien have your solution. Go tankless with a new Navien tankless water heater. You'll instantly get all the hot water you need as long as you need it. Right now, save hundreds on Navien tankless water heaters with local rebates. It's easy. Visit tanklessmadesimple.com. That's tanklessmadesimple.com.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. For nearly 2 decades, we've installed some of the best roof systems across the Mid-South. To the tens of thousands of clients we've served, we are honored. So many of you call our team at Brian Elder Roofing your roofers. Our team is dedicated to serving you and keeping your family safe, dry, and mold-free. The recent hailstorms have caused massive damage, and many of these will go unnoticed for years, even though the golf ball-sized hail we just experienced in the Mid-South compromises even the best-built roof system. Whether we find damage or not, your photos are securely stored for future reference. Call Brian Elder Roofing today for a total evaluation of your entire roof system free. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. Call me at 901-867-0303. That's 901-867-0303. Or visit us online at brianelderroofing.com.
Hi, this is Jay Stovall with Corky's Barbecue. We have been serving up our legendary barbecue for more than 39 years, right here in Memphis, Tennessee. Whether you're dining in, picking up in our drive-thru, or serving our famous barbecue at your office or home, with Corky's Party Pack, you are the hit of the party. Barbecue pulled pork, baked beans, coleslaw, barbecue sauce, and buns, starting at only $8.49 per person. And as you know, we send plenty of food. You never have to worry about running out of the store.
Corky's Barbecue.
Hi, this is Jay Stovall with Corky's Barbecue. We have been serving up our legendary barbecue for more than 39 years, right here in Memphis, Tennessee. Whether you're dining in, picking up in our drive-thru, or serving our famous barbecue at your office or home, with Corky's Party Pack, you are the hit of the party. Barbecue pulled pork, baked beans, coleslaw, barbecue sauce, and buns, starting at only $8.49 per person. And as you know, we send plenty of food. You never have to worry about running out of the store.
At Vanguard, you're more than just an investor, you're an owner. So whether you're planning for retirement or trying to save up for your next big adventure, Vanguard will help work alongside you to set personalized investment goals. That's the value of ownership. All investing is subject to risk. Vanguard is owned by its funds, which are owned by Vanguard's fund shareholder clients. Vanguard Marketing Corporation, distributor.
Cork and Barrel in Hernando, Mississippi, a Southern gem for over 15 years. Check out their bigger, better, bolder new location, 2595 McInvale Road, Hernando. Huge selection, incredible pricing. Choose from hundreds of bourbons, tequilas, rum, scotch, and vodka. Over 1,000 wines from fine to very simple picnic wines. At Cork and Barrel, it's all about serving you. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 10, where the fun begins and the liquor and wine never end. Cork and Barrel, 2595 McInvale Road, I-55 Hernando, exit 280.
Joining the guys every Friday is college football historian and Vegas legend Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insiders, CBS Sports, and his own website, BamSports.net. With over 30 years on Memphis radio, with Hager Captain and Sports Talk, here's Bruce Marshall with Brian and Brett.
Bruce Marshall joins us now from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BamSports.net. Got to talk some college football with him, also some Major League Baseball. Bruce was in Dallas for SEC Media Days. Bruce, thanks so much for joining us. What was your biggest takeaway from the week at SEC Media Days?
Well, I was there for a couple days, and I had to get out of there early. Brett stayed down there the whole way, so he and I were there, and it was pretty good. Different venue. It felt kind of funny being in Dallas for the SEC. I mean, I'd been down there for the Big 12 before. But they were in Las Vegas this year. Now the SEC's in Dallas as they plant the flag with the Longhorns now in the league along with the Aggies. So, but to me, and this right at the start, because the first guy they bring out to talk was Greg Sankey. And it was a question that I asked that he answered that got a lot of coverage and was picked up by a lot of the wire service stories and ESPN and that. And it was about the college conference landscape. Mm-hmm. He didn't answer it the way I asked it. Mm-hmm. And the question was, how closely is he monitoring what Florida State and Clemson are doing with their lawsuit in the ACC, and if they succeed, how does that alter the college football landscape? So there's plenty of territory for him to explore there, but he sort of went off into a tangent about, the SEC's role, and I'm not actively recruiting other leagues, and that really wasn't what I was asking him. They don't let you follow up with questions at those things. He briefly mentioned that, I suppose Florida and State and Clemson signed a contract with media rights, and now they're trying to get out of it. They really skipped over it very superficially. But I thought it was a very good question to ask, because that's what I see as the biggest storyline right now in college sports, and it relates to these media deals. And if they can withstand, if they're ironclad or not. Mostly, though, Bryant, to me, when I look at the commissioners, and I'd group Sankey and even Jim Phillips at the ACC is a bit worse. But I'm telling you, the guy who stands out to me right now is Brett Yormark at the Big 12. And what he has done, now he's had to think outside of the box here. And Sankey doesn't have to do that. Not his fault, but that's just the position the SEC is in now. Jim Phillips probably did in the ACC, and he hasn't done it. He's just steadfastly, adhered to this contract that the media rights deal, and he's holding Florida State and Clemson to it, and they're fighting it tooth and nail in court. And there's lawsuits both ways. But what Yormark has done, think outside of the box. He squeezed a few more percentage points for revenue for his league out of the latest college football playoff TV contract. He also, I think he's going over the line to crass commercialism, and I wish Sankey would have addressed that. Although Yormark doesn't have much choice. They're ready, Bryant, to change the name of the league from Big 12 to the All-State 12 or whatever corporate sponsor they can attach. And, corporate sponsors on the yard markers. They want, corporate sponsors on the uniforms, look like NASCAR. That's where Yormark's from. But most importantly, he's picking up, he's courting private equity money, institutional dollars, to come in and effectively invest in the Big 12, which would be a huge infusion of cash. Now, extrapolate it here, they would have to give up ownership of some of their media rights to do that. But there's some private equity money that might think that's a worthwhile trade because these TV deals keep going up and up and up. And it would be a cash infusion short term. But the fact he's introducing private equity, and this is what a lot of European soccer has done too. And there have been a lot of instances over there where they have gone to institutional money to help fund them. But Yormark is treading in new territory here, and I think his avant-garde leadership has got the Big 12 in a interesting position here. Certainly better than the ACC. They're not the SEC or the Big Ten, but they are clearly now moving into their third spot. It's because they've got a dynamic commissioner.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that, and it was interesting. I've seen a lot of rumors on social media that obviously, like you mentioned, Florida State and Clemson doing everything they possibly can to get out of the ACC, and you start seeing rumors on social media that maybe, SEC and Big Ten might not want those two schools. It might be the Big 12 where they end up landing. Do you buy into that at all, or do you think if Florida State and Clemson get out, that they'll land in either the SEC or the Big Ten?
No, I think now since last week, and we chatted about this briefly last week, Brian, I think the Big 12 is where they would gladly go. Because their leadership there is so much more forward-thinking, first of all, than the ACC. They wouldn't be subject to this, the straitjacket of that media rights deal in the ACC, which admittedly they signed a few years back, but it goes out to 2036. That is a long time out there. And what I think is going to happen there, I don't know that the courts are going, this is my own guess.
Sure.
I don't know that they're going to grant a complete win to Florida State and Clemson out of this. But what I think will come of it is they would be able to exit at a reduced exit fee, which I think they could argue is extremely prohibitive.
Right.
And that would allow them to get out, sort of like what Maryland went through a lot of this about 10, 11 years ago, too. And they were in court for a couple of years on what they had to pay the ACC. It wasn't quite as big dollars then. Yeah. But I think that's how this is going to end up. I think they'll go to the Big 12, and I think they'll do so gladly now when they see how aggressive Yormark has been. And the there's still, looking downrange. I mean, I could see this being college football being like a 60-school super conference, sort of like the NFL, and the Big 12 could be part of it. I'm not sure the ACC would, at least in its current setup. So I think they would align with the Big 12, and I think if Memphis had somewhere to hook up to, that should be where they land as well.
Well, that's a good point. I was just going to ask that because we talked about that last week, like you said, and we asked you that question. I believe Brett asked you that question of if you're Memphis, where would you rather go, the Big 12 or the ACC? And it definitely sounds like what you're saying is you definitely want to try to get into the Big 12 rather than the ACC, because ACC could very well maybe get left behind if you get into one of these super conferences. What kind of position, though, does this put these kind of rumors put Memphis in? Obviously a team that in the past when the Big 12 has expanded, they've been right there in the mix, a team that's been talked about. But if Florida State and Clemson get out and go to the Big 12, what kind of position would that put Memphis in?
Well, that's a good question, Bryant. And I think what I would worry about is that would sort of put Memphis in the position where it has always been in this conference shuffle. They're always in the queue behind a few schools ahead of them.
Yep.
They were behind those 4 schools in the AAC that went to the Big 12 2 years ago. And they've been left behind a couple of times. They're like the next one. What I would worry is if Florida State and Clemson move into the Big 12, that's 18. They may want to go to 20. And if they do, would there be some ACC defectors who might want to jump into the fray before Memphis would get a call? But I think I don't know the ACC, especially because the leadership. I don't know that Jim Phillips isn't seeing this thing and not being as creative as Brett Yormark has been, and I don't think the ACC presidents are that way either. But Yormark is now the guy who is really making things happen. I'd like Memphis, if it can, align with him and the Big 12 because he is dynamic about this stuff, and I'm not sure any of these other commissioners are that dynamic.
Bruce, look, just listening to all the media days, the coaches and the players just talking about this upcoming season, it feels wide open in a sense. I think when it comes to the playoff, do you feel like this thing could get very ugly very quickly because you're going to have a lot of good teams that are going to be undefeated or have these good records?
Well, think about the Final Four last year. 3 of those Final Four have different coaches this year, and one of them moved within that, and the other one has moved leagues. So Texas is the one that's moved leagues. Alabama's got a new coach. Michigan's got a new coach. So does Washington. So right there, right at the top, you can see there's some changes that have gone on at the very top, and there are some questions about whether those teams can stay there. Now, the interesting thing, and we saw in the SEC poll down in Dallas, Georgia was the overwhelming pick to win the league. And, talking to enough people in Dallas this week, we all sort of came to the same conclusion. Georgia was one of the 4 best teams last year. It really was. It was just sort of a shame they lost that game to Alabama. They knocked them out of the Final Four. They should have been in there. And they could have won the tournament had they been in. But just the way the schedule broke, and they lost that game at the end, as opposed to Texas losing that game in October to Oklahoma. They were behind Texas in the queue. But Georgia seems to be the one blue blood here, the one power entry that people have very little doubt about this year. They're going to be in the mix, probably, number 1 preseason poll. But there's questions for a lot of the others. But this is, a new era. We're talking about 12 teams in a playoff. So there's not just 4 this year. We're talking about room for 12. So a lot of things are different.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. It feels like a whole new world of college football. Bruce Marshall, he joins us from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. 1 or 2 more questions about the SEC, and then I do want to move over to some Major League Baseball before we let you go. obviously a lot has been said about some of these teams in the SEC and kind of the strength of their schedule. You look at Florida, and I think arguably the toughest schedule in all of college football. But really, this week, looking at a lot of these schedules, I mean, they're tough, and that's just kind of what the SEC is now that you've added Texas and Oklahoma, and how good this conference already was. How tough is it for you when you look at these teams and kind of start looking at win totals for the SEC? How tough is it when Vegas has a lot of these lines kind of right at where you think they would be? It makes it difficult for you.
Yeah, it is difficult. And I go back to something Brett said many years ago at one of these SEC media days. He said, somebody's got to lose in this league. Not everybody can win. So, we're proceeding kind of, carefully here, and we don't know what's going on with Arkansas this year or South Carolina. Vanderbilt, Florida. A couple of months ago, I was thinking who might be on the hot seat in this league, and I wasn't sure besides Napier. Then you start looking around and talking, Sam Pittman better win this year. I'm not sure how much longer Vandy can go, with Clark Lee, and how long is South Carolina going to be happy with, 6-6 or not even that good last year with Shane Beamer. So there is some pressure, but the schedules, you just don't see many soft spots here, and you have to look at, some non-conferences and see, and see where there might be some edges there. I looked like at, let's see, Kentucky looks like they've got a pretty good schedule at the start. Well, they do have Georgia in there in September, but some other winnable games early on. Oklahoma, this is a tough schedule Oklahoma's got. They're coming into the league. They ain't playing Vanderbilt this year. I mean, they're not playing Mississippi State, which has got a new coach. This is going to be pretty tough for Oklahoma. So that makes it really tough because there's no soft spots in this league, really. But the one also here, Missouri's schedule doesn't look too bad. So I think they should be able to flourish in there, and Ole Miss's doesn't look all that bad either. So when you talk about win totals, I think you got to look at some of those non-conferences as well, because all the SEC games are tough except maybe Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
So you got to look at those non-conferences if you're looking at the season win total things too.
Yeah. You mentioned coaches on the hot seat. I think Sam Pittman's probably in a similar boat as Billy Napier. What do you think Sam Pittman needs to do this year to protect his job?
He's got to. I don't think a bowl game at 6-6 does it for him. They really slipped off last year, and so I think he needs at least 7 wins and a little better bowl than the last time. That was 2 years ago. They went to the Liberty, but they may have to shoot above that. Pressure on him. He's got Petrino, and Bobby Petrino is his new offensive coordinator. That is the most interesting hire of the year in the SEC staff-wise, I think. But there is also a thought among a lot of Arkansas people is, look, Coach Pittman had a really good staff with top-notch coordinators in Kendall Briles and Barry Odom his first 3 years there. And then it really tailed off last year after those two left for different jobs. So they've got the new quarterback from Boise. I think he's definitely got to do something. And Taylor Green to make something happen there. But I don't think like 6-6 would be good enough. I think they're looking for something better than that. And with so many bowls now, just getting to a bowl doesn't save you. You got to make it a decent bowl, and I think where he's at right now, they see the trajectory heading downward, and he needs a bigger year this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for him. Switching gears to Major League Baseball, coming out of All-Star break, what are some of the storylines? What are some of the things you're keeping an eye on in Major League Baseball down the stretch?
Yeah, some of these teams that made moves within the last month, specifically in the National League, like the Mets, are they going to be able to keep this push going? They have made a real run into a playoff spot here last 5 weeks before the All-Star break when this season looked like it was going nowhere. Are they going to add something at the deadline? Can they keep the momentum going? The schedule breaks well right at the start. They got the series in Miami, and I would think Manaea is worth a pretty good look tonight against the Marlins, who have really struggled. So I'd watch them. In the American League, there's a lot of interesting storylines there. Boston has sort of made a move like the Mets over the last month and now they're in contention. We saw Durant be a star of the All-Star game the other night. So some of these young bats are really starting to help the Red Sox. Pivetta goes tonight against the Dodgers. That's an interesting series right out of the All-Star break. If the Red Sox, continue the momentum, I mean, they're going to be right in the playoff mix too.
Yeah.
So watching some of those, Baltimore also faded some before the All-Star break. And you wonder who's going to make a move. A lot of eyes on Texas. They won 2 or 3 in Houston before that All-Star break. Brett is going to be there tonight, I think.
Yeah.
Sticking around Dallas to watch the Orioles and the Rangers tonight. So that's a very interesting series. And I wouldn't count the Rangers out yet because Seattle has really wobbled atop the West, haven't put that division away at all. And they have an interesting series versus the Astros right out of the chute here.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned maybe taking a look at the Mets tonight against the Marlins. Is there anything else you like in terms of tonight's slate in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I might. We mentioned Texas there a bit. I might look at that one. They got Eovaldi, who has pitched very well in recent starts. Corbin Burns worked well for him. He got to pitch the All-Star game. They didn't have to go anywhere, just hang around for his teammates to join him in Arlington. But Baltimore's problem before the All-Star break was the offense, just not doing anything. So I would think Texas is an interesting one there. Kansas City has really this is the tale of the two seasons for the Royals and the White Sox. Yeah. Really, in the first half of April, Kansas City beat the White Sox 6 straight right out of the chute this year, and it sent both teams in a different trajectory this year. So now they meet right out of the All-Star break. Waka, I do this one on the run line. Walker's pitched pretty well since he was recalled off the injured list a few weeks ago. Chris Flexen has not won a start for the White Sox have not won a start for Chris Flexen since May 8th, and they are 27-71. So the run line about even money with Kansas City looks decent to me.
I like it. Bruce, before we let you go, how can we find more of you?
Yeah, check me out online. This new one called winnersandwhiners.com, WHINERS.com. I got picks up there every day at winnersandwhiners.com. Also, VegasInsider.com. You can also read my stuff, including some college football previews, up at CBS Sportsline at sportsline.com.
I love it, Bruce. Thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you again next Friday.
Oh, okay, Brian. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Bruce Marshall joining us from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net, talking a lot of college football and some Major League Baseball. And he said it, Zach, and we got out a little bit early with Bruce because I kind of wanted to discuss something he said in there. And it's something that I've been really fearing, and especially since I kind of saw some of these rumors about Florida State and Clemson. It's kind of starting to look like maybe those two schools, at first it was, just wait till Florida State and Clemson get out. They're going to the SEC or they're going to the Big Ten, those big-time conferences.
Yeah.
But now starting to look like they could land in the Big 12. And what would that do for Memphis? Bruce kind of alluded to maybe if the Big 12 gets to 18 teams, maybe even to 20 teams, and you see Big 10 looks really good and deep, SEC looks really good and deep, now Big 12 looks really good and deep, that maybe that would be the starting of kind of the super conference forming or kind of super league of college football forming, and that those ACC teams could be left out. And that's kind of what I've been fearing, especially after I've heard these rumors of, okay, Florida State and – because I've seen a lot of it is, okay, Florida State and Clemson want to get out of the ACC. Who cares where they go? But they're out of the ACC. ACC's looking for teams to replace them. Memphis is in that group with maybe some other ones. I've seen Tulane, I've seen USF, I've seen some definitely other teams out there, but those are just the first that come to mind, being they're from the American. And I start thinking of that, and I go, okay, Memphis goes in with Tulane or USF, and they're now in the ACC. Well, now North Carolina or Duke or Miami, they say, well, we want to go to the Big 12. Those two teams were able to get out of it. We can get out of it. Then they jump ship. and go to the Big 12. Well, now North Carolina and Virginia say, oh, well, SEC says that they'll take us. Let's get out and go to the SEC. Well, now the ACC's having to replace anything. Heck, SMU's already there waiting on us. And, now you took Tulane the first time. Now USF, come on down. Let's add you. And down the road we'll add, East Carolina. They're right there in the ACC region. I mean, you look up and it's you're back in the American. And it's exactly what happened with the Big East. And that's what I'm worried about, is kind of like Bruce said, of Memphis just feels like they're in a spot where they just keep getting left behind. And my worry is if you go the ACC route, you're going to get left behind again. And I don't want to be in that situation again, Zach. I want them to try to get to the Big 12 if they can. Maybe like Bruce was saying, if, the Big 12 wants to expand, they add those two, and they want to get to 20, and maybe no other ACC team wants to budge. Memphis tries to get in there with those teams. That would be great. But I get worried now, and it's maybe the PTSD of what happened with the Big East and what happened with the last time the Big 12 looked to expand, and it felt like both times when they added UCF and that group, and then when they added this group from the Pac-12, it felt like both those times Memphis was right there and just couldn't get anything done. I mean, heck, the commissioner of the Big 12 was in Memphis, and it felt good. I just am really worried about how things are playing out across the college landscape when it comes to the University of Memphis.
Yeah, and that's I understand your worry. I understand like the issue behind it. The biggest thing for the Tigers is the ACC gotta stay together. They gotta keep that conference up because you don't want to have to end up like
we've already lost one conference,
or at least the Pac-2.
Right?
Now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's still. I'm sorry, Zach. It's still a conference.
It's
That's
still
right.
a conference.
Yeah. Holding on strong.
They still got games against former Pac-12 teams, which is
that's right.
Which is crazy to think about.
And all the Pac-12 teams still have to play in the Pac-12 bowls.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
It's so weird. So you want, for Memphis' sake, you want the ACC to stay together.
Yes.
Because from the standpoint, if you look at it this way, I mean, there's still some good teams around.
Sure, absolutely.
You're still going to play some good teams. I mean, from a basketball standpoint,
oh man,
you're going to get some powerhouses.
Give me
through.
Virginia, Duke, North Carolina on my schedule every year. Wake Forest. I mean, yeah, I can get behind that for sure.
Yeah, it's just now from a football standpoint, you're just hoping that these, I don't want to call them basketball schools, but to me they're basketball schools.
Sure.
You're just hoping that these basketball schools can develop into some really good football programs so that it can offset the cost.
Sure. Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm worried about is I think, and Zach, I'll be the first one to tell you, I love college basketball. Sometimes it's difficult for me of what I love more, college basketball or college football. It's college football, but my point is it gets close, and so I think everyone can acknowledge that college football is what drives everything.
College football pays the bills.
College football pays the bills.
College basketball brings the excitement and entertainment at times.
Exactly, and so these teams are. I'm worried, Zach. Even the quote unquote basketball schools are going to say, look, we got to get to the SEC. We got to get to the Big Ten. We got to do something because we have got to be in one of these football conferences, one of these big time conferences, because football and the money that they make, that's what's going to dictate everything.
Right.
And that's what really worries me. And so obviously a lot of time left. A lot of the puzzle still needs to be put together, or I guess taken apart and then put together differently. But I don't think, there's some people that'll tell you, conference expansion is done. I don't think it's anywhere near done. I honestly think, and I hate to say this, I think until you get to a super league, a super conference, there's always going to be expansion and kind of changing. Now that once that bottle's open, it's hard to get it back in there. And so it's going to be weird to see how all of this plays out. But definitely a good conversation with Bruce Marshall about, just the changing landscape of college athletics. We need to get to a break, though. And when we come back, Major League Baseball is back. First day of games today. We already have one game in the books. We'll talk about that and what's going on in Major League Baseball. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
All 650 acquisition fee, $20,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte RE794066, MSRP 21820, Telluride RG 543,666, MSRP 39835, EV9 R602 29603, MSRP 61035. Includes all rebates and incentives and PF 695. Includes tax, title, license, registration, and fees. Must finance through Hyundai with approved credit valid through 7/31/24. Dealer stock only.
I got Jeff Allen on the line, Gossett Kia, South Mount Moriah. Hey, dude, you ready to rock our world?
You better believe it, Randy. How about 41 MPG Highway in a 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $199 a month, $37.99 due at signing. 2024 Kia Telluride S, $379 per month, $39.99 due at signing. And 304 EPA estimated range for $389 a month in a 2024 Kia EV9 Lite, or get 0% for 48 months, $49.99 due at signing, all 24-month leases.
Plus, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Or online, KiaMountMoriah.com.
To understand what makes Genesis Diamonds so different than other jewelry stores, you have to go back over 40 years to the diamond cutting capital of Tel Aviv, Israel. That's where Genesis owner Boaz Ramon grew up, in the center of the diamond universe. His connections with the best diamond cutters allowed him special access, giving rise to a thriving wholesale business here in the United States. Then, after a few years, this wholesaler changed the game and started selling these precious diamonds direct to the public at the same prices he had sold to the jewelry stores. The no middleman concept became an instant success. Today, Genesis Diamonds provides that extraordinary value to people right here in Middle Tennessee, leading the industry with the highest quality diamonds that still come straight from the best cutters, offered at the guaranteed best price of any jewelry store in America. Genesis Diamonds, a truly revolutionary concept with a unique history rooted in quality, committed to excellence, and always focused on value. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes and Poplar and Perkins Extended.
There's only like 2 days the whole year without a game. That's it. That makes just about every day game day at DraftKings Sportsbook. Super easy to get started. Try betting on something simple, like picking a team to win. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook's app. Select your team. Place your first bet. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, 90 seconds, and use the code HERD, H-E-R-D. That's code HERD for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Deposit and eligibility restrictions apply. See terms and responsible gaming resources at dkng.co/baseball.
Wash your house, wash your office building? Impossible! Not call Wilson's Pro Wash. Your house, fence, driveway, warehouse, store, hotel, even cars and trucks can all be squeaky clean and beautiful after pressure washing by Wilson's Pro Wash. Wilson's specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, concrete, stone, brick, and mortar, even wood and vinyl siding. Then, Wilson's can seal their surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Call Wilson's Pro Wash, 901-524-6799, or online at wilsonsprowash.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding and a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Granger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call CraigGranger.com or just stop by. Granger, always you get it done.
I've got 2023 Jeep Renegade Latitude, four-wheel drive, $26,095 or $388 a month.
That's a rocking Jeep deal. What else you got, Ronnie?
Power up in a
31095. Charger PH 636 170. MSRP 37215. Ram RN 203232. MSRP 588. Price includes all rebates and incentives and excludes PF 695. All exclude tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Dealer stock only.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM, your Mid-South sports station.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brian and Zach with you in our Family Leisure Studios. And Zach, Major League Baseball is back after All-Star break. We've got a full slate of games tonight. One game already in the books. The Arizona Diamondbacks on the road against the Chicago Cubs. And the Diamondbacks, they win 5-2 over the Cubs. And don't look now, but this Diamondbacks team, really rough start to the season. But they're now 2 games over 500, second in the NL West. Might go on a little bit of a run here and kind of be right back in the position they were in last year that got them ultimately all the way to the World Series where they ended up losing to the Texas Rangers. Kind of on the other side of that, though, Zach, Texas Rangers really struggling, 46-50 on the year. They go tonight at home against the Baltimore Orioles. I don't know. I mean, Orioles are a much better team. Don't know how they'll fare on the road against them. But I don't know about you, Zach. I'm very excited that we've got Major League Baseball back.
Yeah. Now's the back half of the season.
That's right.
Now it's the push to the playoffs.
It's a sprint now.
Some is the push to the wild card.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had the what was that? I had the Diamondbacks in the World Series as my season prediction.
This year or last year?
This year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you thought that they could take that magic from last year into this year?
Yeah, I thought so too. I think the biggest thing is they got to get some more pitching.
Sure.
Because I think their pitching is really good. I think they could add some more, maybe another at bat to kind of give them a little bit more power to it.
Yeah.
Because at this Corbin, Corbin Carroll. Mm-hmm. He has. Am I getting his name right?
No, you're definitely getting
his name right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. His name is weird, but Carroll, he had a great year last year, but he has definitely come down to earth.
Sure,
for sure. But he's a speed guy. And then you're relying on Christian Walker, Luis Guerrero Jr., Ketel Marte to kind of produce those runs for you.
Sure.
So. In my mind, I feel like, man, get you another at bat to kind of help out. That would be great.
Oh yeah,
from their end.
Well, I think I asked both Alan and Bruce kind of teams to keep an eye on around the trade deadline, and I think Arizona could be another team to watch because, like you said, I mean, it feels like really slow start this season, really struggled for probably up until this point. Half of the year, they were really struggling and couldn't figure things out, but now have really turned it on. And so if they, like you said, if they can add a couple bats, maybe an arm or two, I think you'd feel really good. And with Corbin Carroll, you look at a lot of the stars in this league, and obviously you've got the young stars that are playing out of their mind, like Bobby Witt Jr., Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, those type of guys playing really good ball. And then you've got these other stars like Corbin Carroll and Julio Rodriguez that, I mean, I think both are can't-miss stars, but have really struggled this year at the plate. And so I think the fear is young guys struggling, but I think the positive to that is also young guys struggling. I think it's much easier for them to be able to figure it out, work things out, and maybe come up big down the stretch of the season than other guys, because I think you feel confident with what you saw last year from both Corbin Carroll and Julio that they can be able to turn things around. That's another guy. I think Julio Rodriguez, a guy I'm a big fan of, that's going to be a guy I'm watching out of the break. How can he I don't know exactly what he's batting, but can he kind of turn it on? You started to see it into the break that he was kind of starting to figure it out. I'm looking at his last 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
His last 6 games, he had 4 hits, 0 hits, 3 hits, 3 hits, 2 hits, 1 hit. So, and before that, let's see how many games before this. 4 games before that, 2 hits, 1 hit, 0 hits, 0 hits. So he was starting to turn it around before the break.
Yeah.
Batting .267. So, definitely starting to hit the ball a lot better than he did at the start of the season. But you kind of look at those home runs, not there at all. Only 10 home runs this season. I think both those guys can turn it around and be vital parts to both of these teams, and I think both could do damage the latter part of the season and even into the playoffs.
Yeah, another team I want to throw out there again.
Sure,
is a team that I picked to get into the World Series is what's the plan with the Royals?
Yeah,
I mean you're talking about another young squad.
Mm-hmm.
With some savvy veterans, with Savvy Perez at holding down the plate.
Yeah.
For a lot of these guys, like, I mean, listen, like they got the hitters too.
Sure.
They got some home run power too. I mean, obviously we saw with Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah.
And his display of his own type of power. He doesn't have like the 40-foot, 500,
sure,
type of bombs, but he can hit it. He can hit it out of the park too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of like, are they getting enough starting pitching out of their rotation right now? You got Seth Lugo, who's having a great year.
Yeah.
Cole Raggins, he's been cool. He's been solid.
Sure.
I think, is he a rookie this year?
No, he's been around.
He's been around.
Yeah.
Okay,
but young guy. For sure, young guy.
Brad Singer has been solid. Been a solid vet. For them in their lineup, Michael Wacha, former Cardinal,
yeah.
he had his moments, but I feel like they still need another guy to kind of solidify, to kind of like take some pressure off of this rotation, and to kind of strengthen their bullpen a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, because this is a team, and I've said it multiple times, even like way back early in the season when they were really playing well. I just was never sold on this team, and I'm still not. So I think good team, a lot of good pieces. I just think maybe a year or two away. And now you're seeing how they've slipped out of the wild card spot. And you look, just to start this month, lost a series against Tampa Bay, lost a series against the Colorado Rockies.
That was rough.
That was really rough. Beat the Cardinals, but only a 2-game series. But even if that was a 3-game series, they would have won that series. And then lost a series against Boston to go into the break. Now, I mean, you get a good start to the latter half of the season, or latter part of the season, against the White Sox. I think they should have, that should be easy for them. But then you've got to see Arizona, who is really hitting the ball well and kind of starting to turn things around. I'm not sold on this team, and maybe they can do some things at the deadline to bring in guys and maybe be able to get over that hump and be a wild card team this year. But I just still think that they are at. I think they're still a year or two away. And Zach, now that we've talked about this, it's going to be interesting because it feels like we've listed off 3 or 4, maybe even 5 teams if you throw in the teams Alan and Bruce talked about. We've talked about a lot of teams that are going to trying to be going out there and buying and bringing in talent. I don't know if all these teams can acquire that much talent to kind of put them over the edge. And that's going to be something interesting to look at is what's that balance of sellers and buyers at the deadline, and will they be able to kind of even themselves out so that a lot of these teams that we're talking about that are right there, they're right outside, or right on the cusp, can be able to bring in the guys they need to bring in.
Yeah, it could be just as simple as like I think the Orioles are going to be sellers. I mean, are going to be buyers.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I know they're going to be buyers.
Sure.
But you can make a case for like Detroit. You can make a case for like I said, Kansas City, where they could just say, you know what, guys, we overachieved this year.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stand pat.
Well, and I think the Cardinals are in that same boat because I don't know what they're going to do and I think Alan Bell said it as well. Like, they're overachieving this year. There's no question about it. They are playing above what anybody thought they would do this year. Is that going to be, like, how substantial is that? Like, are they going to be able to go into the playoffs and make noise? I don't think so. So do you want to just keep everything you've got and say, we'll just see what happens with the cards we already have? Or do you want to say, let's buy a little bit and try to go in a little bit stronger into the playoffs, into the wild card? Or do you want to say, look, we're playing, way better than we thought we would. We need to worry about the future and maybe not be full all-out sellers, but be light sellers and just maybe move a contract, move a player here, and just kind of figure the rest out. I just don't know what they'll do. From what I've seen the past every year from the Cardinals, they're not going to do anything at the trade deadline. Everyone will be saying it's what we were saying a couple years ago with Juan Soto.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, the Cardinals could get Juan Soto. That is incredible. Cardinals aren't going to do anything to get Juan Soto,
no.
And they didn't. And so I don't see them being buyers at this deadline. If anything, I just see them holding what they've got and saying we'll figure it out and we'll try to do something in the offseason.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm definitely thrilled. We've got Major League Baseball back, but it's now the sprint. It's a lot of baseball behind us, and now it's going to be the push to this playoffs.
And then also before we go to break, I think with the amount of injuries to the pitchers, the pitching talent is taking a hit.
Definitely.
So I'm not sure who's. I have an idea who could be available for each team, but at the end of the day, we don't know who's available.
That's right. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. But you make a good point because now a lot of these pitching staffs have gotten a little slimmer because of the loss of pitchers.
Yeah,
they're not going to go out and deal this guy or sell this guy or whatever it might be. So that's going to be interesting. Trade deadline here in just a couple of weeks. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
I think a lot about golf, and when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more important, you can book up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from. You'll find the lowest rates on Tuesday through Thursday afternoons. Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
Gracie's Kitchen in Memphis would like to say thank you to all the local men and women out in armed forces who risked their lives daily to preserve our freedom and way of life. That's Gracie's Kitchen at 7185 Stage Road in Memphis. We're going to invite you in for great food, friendly service,
Vanguard, you're more than just an investor, you're an owner. So whether you're planning for retirement or trying to save up for your next big adventure, Vanguard will help work alongside you to set personalized investment goals. That's the value of ownership. All investing is subject to risk. Vanguard is owned by its funds, which are owned by Vanguard's fund shareholder clients. Vanguard Marketing Corporation, distributor.
Make your next grill your last with a Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Save money on fuel, eating out, and replacing expensive grills that cannot match the flavor of the Big Green Egg. Ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes? With temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between with ease. Change your at-home cooking experience for life. Go to shop.biggreenegg.com.
East Memphis Ace Hardware is more than just a hardware store. It's really a customer service store. With 20 employees along with complete inventory of items, big to little, finding what you need is easy. Choosing from a complete selection of Big Green Egg as well as Traeger and River grills. And the Garden Center has everything for your yard. You can get glass cut, repair screens, get new keys with the Key Club programming. Tools, nuts, bolts, screws, you need it. East Memphis Ace Hardware has it. And you're just down the street at the corner of Wilson White Station.
Now back to Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Big Daddy. Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy. You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
All right, Zach, my big number today comes from Major League Baseball, and it's a small but big number. I'll let you be the judge of it. My big number today is .026. That is the difference between Stephen Kwan's batting average and the next closest qualifying player's batting average, which is Christian Yelich. Stephen Kwan of the Cleveland Guardians might be the best player in Major League Baseball that nobody's talking about. He leads Major League Baseball with a .352 batting average. That's .026 points higher than the next closest qualifying player, which is Christian Yelich, who's batting .326 on the season. The last season to end with such a large gap was in 1980 when George Brett hit when George Brett hit 390 and Cecil Cooper hit 352, so the gap was .038. So that would definitely be something if Stephen Kwan can continue to hit the ball like he's been doing this season, because it's been a whole lot of fun to watch.
I got a big number, Brian.
Do you?
Yeah.
Wow, how about that? Yeah. Give me your big number.
Yeah, sneaking up on you.
I love it.
My big number is 58.
Okay, 58. I like it.
You have an idea what 58 could represent?
I have no clue.
We're going to keep it in Major League Baseball.
Okay, 58 Major League Baseball. I have no idea, Zach. You're going to have to hit me with it.
So technically it's not a three-way tie, but they're all tied with 58 wins.
Okay.
The American League is setting up to be it's gonna be a wild west type of shootout.
Okay.
Because you got the Cleveland Guardians leading the American League with 58 wins,
right.
37 losses.
That's right.
The Baltimore Orioles 58 wins, 38 losses, and then the New York Yankees with 58 and 40.
That's right. How about that?
And they all separated by 1.5 wins, 1.5 games.
That's crazy. And obviously. Wow, I mean that's a really good big number, because you're right. And with Baltimore, being in the lead of that division, the Yankees would have to be the wild card team.
Yeah,
and so that makes it even more interesting. I mean, it's a lot like last year at the end of the season. I remember it was like maybe 2 weeks left in the regular season, or maybe 3. I don't know, somewhere around there. And the AL West Texas, Seattle, and Houston were all in a three-way tie at the top of the division. And how it was going to work out was one team was going to win the division, one team was going to be the last wild card, and the third team their season would be done. And so you were watching every single game for all three of those teams because you had to know what's going to happen in this division. It was great baseball, and it some great matchups, some heated baseball because, down the stretch of the season, these teams were playing each other in weekend series, and things were getting heated because those players knew what was on the line, what was at stake, and it really did feel like playoff baseball before postseason had even started, which I think is always great. And so you're right, we could see something very similar with these three teams.
Yeah. And so even the teams behind them, you got the Minnesota Twins 54-42, the Boston Red Sox 53-42. Even in the West, like the Mariners 52-46, the Astros 50-46. It's like they're there, but they're not quite there. But they're still in this race because
for sure
all it takes is just a 6-game winning streak and one of these big names to come down a little bit, and all of a sudden, hey, we're first place in the American right now.
No, you're right about that. And Houston's another team. We talked about what team we're talking. The Diamondbacks. We were talking about the Diamondbacks earlier about how they've really come on strong lately. Houston Astros the exact same. They're playing really good ball right now. Only 3.5 games back in the wild card. Only a couple games back as well for the division, and so that's going to be something interesting to watch. And Seattle and Houston actually start a series tonight against each other. So right out of the break, a divisional matchup that's going to be really, really intriguing to watch between Seattle and Houston. Because like I said, Houston coming on strong. Seattle. Before their last series against who they played, the Angels, they kind of struggled. But before that, the probably 3 or 4 series before that had looked really good, playing good baseball. The thing about this team, Zach, and another team kind of watched around the trade deadline, team can't hit the ball. They're finding ways to win, and they were hitting the ball a little bit better. But, there were a lot of games where you'd look up and 2 or 3 hits the entire game. And so, that's something to keep an eye on. I know that their last game before the break, Logan Gilbert comes out and throws 7 great innings. And then I think he gets 1 or 2 runs of support. Mm-hmm. And then the Angels come out in the bottom of the 8th inning and hit a couple home runs and get the lead and end up winning the game. And so, Seattle is a team that I love watching Seattle play baseball. I think they're a good team, but they're not a team right now looking at this group that can compete, even in the AL, maybe even in the division. So it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of watch how all of this plays out over the next couple of weeks. But we need to go ahead and get to a break.
It's almost like they're missing Teoscar Hernandez.
Oh, but that's the thing, Zach. Teoscar Hernandez, when he was with Seattle, he was terrible. I know we don't have enough time, but I wish I could look up Teoscar Hernandez's what his batting or anything was last year. This season, he's hit 19 home runs. Last year total, he hit 26 home runs. This guy was not very good. He batted .258 last year. He's batting .261 last year. He's been big for the Dodgers this year. It was not big for Seattle last year at all. We need to wrap up this hour and get to a break. And when we come back, Keith Smith, nice enough, he usually joins us on Thursdays, but nice enough to join us on a Friday afternoon. We'll talk the NBA with him next.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
In Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special 5000. The team at Jason's Deli. They have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby. At Jason's Deli, locations at Ridgeway and Park Place Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Highland Ranch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
When you think about insurance and you want great value without sacrificing great service, I want you to think one place: the Eflin Insurance and the entire Eflin Insurance team. Matt and his group of professionals will access 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your budget and your absolute needs. The Eflin Insurance team, the number 386-GER, 386-4777.
Are you ready to ride? Well, we got it covered at Gossett Kia on the bike. Get 41 MPG Highway and 2024 Kia Forte LXS. $199 a month, $37.99 to assign it. 2024 Kia Sportage, $279 a month, $34.99 to assign it. Or how about a 2024 Kia EV9 Lite with 0% APR available for 48 months? Or get 304 EPA estimated range for $389 a month, $49.99 to assigning. All 24-month lease. Plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He's ready to put you in your new Kia today. Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
650 acquisition fee, $20,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Forte RE794066, MSRP 21820. Sportage R7316197, MSRP 28865. EV9 R6029603, MSRP 61035. Includes all rebates and incentives and PF 695. Includes tax, title, license, registration, and fees. Must finance through Hyundai with approved credit, valid through 7/31/24. Dealer stock only.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. For nearly 2 decades, we've installed some of the best roof systems across the Mid-South. To the tens of thousands of clients we've served, we are honored. So many of you call our team at Brian Elder Roofing your roofers. Our team is dedicated to serving you and keeping your family safe, dry, and mold-free. The recent hailstorms have caused massive damage, and many of these will go unnoticed for years, even though the golf ball-sized hail we just experienced in the Mid-South compromises even the best-built roof system. Whether we find damage or not, your photos are securely stored for future reference. Call Brian Elder Roofing today for a total evaluation of your entire roof system free. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. Call me at 901-867-0303. That's 901-867-0303. Or visit us online at BrianElderRoofing.com.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Wrapping up the wreck we had earlier in the Midtown area on 240 southbound at Union. It wasn't causing too much of a backup as that traffic finally starts to build over here on 240 eastbound from Middle Branch out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway as you continue on out towards Collierville. That has picked up a little bit more volume. Weimer's Jewelry right here in Memphis. They specialize in bridal ring purchases and they have since 1984. Shop Weimer's Jewelry this weekend. Save a lot of money. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show. And on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Brett Norsworthy out today, but Zach Boyd helping us out, filling in for him. Bryant and Zach with you. So we got about an hour left in today's show. And joining us now to talk the NBA, Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. He joins us usually on Thursdays, but he's nice enough to join us on a Friday afternoon. Keith, thanks so much for joining us. Here in Memphis, it has been a weird 24 hours, a lot of emotions over the last 24 hours. When it comes to Zach Edey, what do you make of these two games? First game in Salt Lake City, he goes down with an ankle injury. It was very minor, so minor that he actually went towards the locker room and then came back to the bench and played the rest of the game. Then he misses a handful of games. Last night, he's able to play again, goes out there in the first half, sprains his other ankle, at least what it looked like, leaves the game and didn't return. A lot of people here in Memphis worried about this, a guy that was extremely healthy throughout college and now 2 games where he has to leave with ankle injuries. Are people overreacting a little bit, or are you a little concerned?
No, I'm not concerned at all. I think it's just stuff happens sometimes, right? There's no reason to believe that all of a sudden he's injury prone, where he never had these injuries before. Both were kind of fluke things. Sprained ankles happen, and there's no reason to push anything now, right? Where we're in the middle of July. This is just, get past it. I think he was very, very, what was it, only to about 42-ish minutes total, if I'm reading my numbers here correctly. I think he showed more than enough in those 42 minutes that they can feel like, all right, looks pretty good. We'll see you in the fall for camp. It just, I've seen some of the same thing where people are like, I don't know, is this guy, going to be this way? I just don't think it's a thing to worry about.
Yeah, I don't think so either. We've kind of talked about it today, and I mean, like you said, things happen, and it was kind of just one of those basketball plays that are very unfortunate, but they happen very, very often. You mentioned you think he's shown more than enough in the limited minutes that he's played. What have you seen, and how do you think this translates, and how do you think he can help the Grizzlies based on what you saw him do? Mainly, I know a lot of people pointing to what he did against Walker Kessler.
Sure, yeah, and that's the one that really matters, right? Because that's an established NBA starting center, and he played really well against him. I thought what you saw is his hands are just unbelievable, right? He just, it's like he's playing with 2 vacuums. The ball just attaches and pulls it in and he goes, but he's got really nice touch around the basket area. I think you're going to see that be a thing. I think you're going to see him finish fairly well in the paint, obviously on dump-off passes and the like. He's so much bigger than everybody else. He's just going to be able to go and power it through there. We didn't see him draw fouls, but that's, fine. I mean, that's just, he was more scoring than he was, looking for contact. Thought he did a nice job on the board. But what really impressed me was I thought he moved his feet well. He's not Jaren Jackson Jr. He's not going to switch out on the perimeter 35 feet away from the hoop and hold up that way, but he can hold his own, and he's going to be able to corral drivers, and he's so big, he just has to be close, and then he's going to be able to affect the shot. So I was really excited about what we saw, especially in that first game, and then what we started to see in the game in Vegas. I thought he looked pretty good again, like we're on a similar type trajectory of all right, he's going to have a pretty similar kind of game, which to me at Summer League we don't want to get too excited about it, but I think we're kind of saying, all right, there's some stuff here, right? There's some stuff that's going to translate over and will work when he gets into the NBA.
Yeah. Who are some other guys that have impressed you throughout the Vegas Summer League?
Yeah, I don't get too fired up over second and third year guys.
Right.
Never mind a fourth year guy, because if you're not playing well, then we probably answered the questions about why you're there in the first place. But for the rookies, I thought Reed Shepherd has been everything that he was advertised to be. He's been, just shooting, playmaking, the confidence he plays with. He's a little small, but he's so athletic that he can just get after guys and make plays. I mean, I think he is just outstanding. I was really excited about what kind of watching him do his thing out there. So that was good. I thought Zachary Ritache, answered some questions for people about is he going to shoot? Where's his IQ at with these things? I think that really looked good, and I think even a guy like Rob Dillingham didn't shoot it well from Minnesota, but he made a lot of plays, and you could kind of see all right, this guy's going to be something here. So I think the rookie class in general has shown up pretty well. Alex Starr, he makes a couple shots, but I think even there, I think Alex Starr looks tired to me, because I think we kind of forget sometimes with some of these guys, they they didn't have any kind of break, right? Like they basically playing straight through right into the pre-draft process all the way into summer league. And he just looks like he's going to need some time, but I think we kind of knew that coming in.
Mm-hmm. Keith, I don't know if you remember talking to us a couple of weeks ago, but I mentioned the idea of packaging multiple picks with players like Zaire Williams and John Conchar to make a move. Now, early today, the Grizzlies made the move to trade Zaire Williams and a second-round pick to the Brooklyn Nets. We're seeing just slow transactions of, because usually when it comes to free agency, there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of people, like, you're just shuffling the deck in that sense. Is the CBA doing what it's supposed to do as far as like making it difficult, or our teams are just being like very cautious, like just on surface level, because they just don't know what the future is going to hold here in the next couple of seasons?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's a little bit of all of it working in here. I think one of the things is this was not a good free agent class. It really wasn't. Like there just weren't big time free agents outside of Paul George, and the ones that were, none of them changed teams. We haven't seen the massive blockbuster trades. We've seen some big ones and some good trades, but we haven't seen like the ones where it's like, oh my gosh, like, everybody needs to pause and reset because now the whole league is different. And I think some of that probably is a little bit. Teams are in a spot where it is, all right, we got the second apron, then this first apron and hard caps, and we got to deal with it, and we got to figure it out. I think some teams, quite frankly, are using that as an excuse for being cheap. I think they're not doing anything different than they would have done no matter what. And I think they're just kind of using it as, well, we couldn't do these things but if you do what I do and the salary cap and all that, it's like, yeah, you could have, but you chose not to, and that's okay. But let's be a little bit more honest with folks about those things. So I think it's just a factor of all of it, and it's a lot of everybody's kind of learning this on the fly and starting to put things together and figure it out a little bit. And now we're in a spot where, all right, we're kind of here. As for Memphis didn't have a lot to do, right? They had mostly a pretty full roster. They took care of their biggest hole on the roster, which was another center, by drafting Edey. So you kind of got him to come in there. And now what you're doing is you're trying to clear enough space to re-sign Luke Kennard and basically run it back. But it's funny because I said, I challenge folks to tell me a team that's made two bigger acquisitions in the offseason than John Morant and Desmond Bane, and that's kind of what the Grizzlies did.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. So how does this affect Luke Kennard, and when do you think we can maybe see, pen on paper and kind of that being announced for the Grizzlies?
Yeah, I think what we're looking at now is they've cleared enough room under the luxury tax and under any issue that they might have had with the apron to sign Luke Kennard to probably something around the mid-level exception is my guess. It'll probably come in somewhere in the range of like 11 to 14 million in that first year. And my guess is that probably comes relatively soon. It's probably now the conversations are being had on, all right, what's the structure going to be? Are we going to go a little higher on the front end? Because now we did clear this space, so we can do a little bit more money, but then we're going to have it decline year over year. So as the other guys get paid and we get really expensive, we have some more money freed up in the out years. So that's probably going to be where it kind of comes together for him. Is just it's probably they probably have a sense of what the total money is, and now it's going to be, all right, well, how do we want to structure this? What do we want to put it together to look like? And that's going to be what we'll get done. My guess is probably here within the next couple of days.
I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but going kind of back to Summer League and what you've seen from some of these young guys, obviously, I mean, nothing's changed. A whole lot of talk about Bronny James throughout this Summer League, but looks like he's kind of getting his feel down. I mean, last two games, back-to-back double-digit outings. What have you seen from him as a whole, game to game? Because I see, these kind of overreactions and freak-outs from people, but I feel like I can trust you, Keith, of just watching the game and telling it how it is. What have you seen from Bronny James throughout Summer League?
I don't know, man. Maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I need to yell louder and say
no, I think you're doing a great job
in that. So, yeah, no, it's I mean, I don't want to be dismissive at all of anybody else's analysis, but he looks like a young second-round pick,
right?
Figuring it out in summer league, right? Like that's really what it looks like. Is it looks like the game was a little fast for him at first, especially on offense. Then we saw, all right, he can compete defensively. I felt like coming in, he was going to be okay defensively from the jump, and then it turned into, all right, let's kind of see where he goes from here, right? Well, what does this look like? How is he kind of moving out there? Is he starting to find his spots? And that's what I think it was. I think he started to get to his spots a little bit more instead of trying to be everything all at once, where it is like, I got to hit pull-ups, I got to hit spot-ups, I got to drive by guys. I think now he's realizing, like, all right, I got to get to the spots where I'm comfortable, work through those, get good at that, then you can start to expand and round out your game a little bit. I think some of the people came in because he's LeBron's kid with this idea of, like, well, he should be great right away. That was just never going to be a thing, and that was always an unfair thing to put on it.
I'm with you on that.
Looking at this upcoming season, pretty much free agency is over and done with. What team stood out to you the most as teams that have improved, got great value out of their free agents, and those that didn't do much or overspent on guys?
Yeah, I think on the plus side, I really like what Philadelphia did. I mean, right? Like, I mean, they had cap space, they had this plan for a year, but when you have a plan, you have to execute it, right? Because otherwise, you look like an idiot for sitting on all this money and, like, what did you do that for? So they did really well with that. I think, getting Paul George there is huge. I mean, I have all the same questions everybody else does. Are they going to be healthy when it matters? Like, what's that going to look like? But overall, I think it feels really good to say, hey, they now have the perfect fit. They have the big wing in between the point guard and the center, and they're going to be really good. And beyond that, they did a really nice job filling out the rest of the roster, too, with those guys. And it feels like because of what they did with the K.J. Martin contract, there's probably another move in there to come at some point. So that's kind of part one there. The Thunder, getting Isaiah Hartenstein in there, that's huge because now they can play a lot of different ways. You can do some different stuff. I liked what Orlando did, too, getting Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I thought they did a nice job. I thought Brooklyn, it sounds weird to say this, but picking a direction of, you know what, we're going to be terrible for the next several years. I think that was a good decision by them of saying we're going to be bad, but we got our picks back, and we're going to bottom out and try to build it up through the draft. I think they did really well with that. And then I think what's really, on the flip side of that, Chicago kind of, what are we doing? You kind of went one way, but you didn't fully, go the full distance with your rebuild. And then I think Denver losing Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, that's one of the ones where I don't want to hear too much about second aprons and the like for them. I mean, that seemed like, we just didn't want to pay the tax that level because they could have kept him and basically run it back and probably been a pretty good team again. And instead, here we are. Now they've got a major roster hole to fill and didn't do much as far as going out to fill it.
Yeah. Talking to Keith Smith, he joins us from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. Well, now with Summer League pretty much wrapped up, a couple more days left. I think Monday, the championship game. But a lot of eyes are going to turn to Team USA and the Olympics opening ceremony next Friday. How much have you been paying attention to these exhibitions, and what do you think about this group going into France?
Yeah, I've watched all of them. I feel like it was a good spot for the USA to get out there. They don't have Kevin Durant, so I keep having to kind of tell people they are missing a key guy. Get it? No one wants to hear it because of how loaded in talent this team is, but they were missing him. Derek White only just joined the team, so now they're going to be whole. It sounds like for the games this weekend. And then I think what it was this was the typical Team USA of little sloppy early. Offense isn't exactly where it needs to be because guys aren't necessarily on the same page and all that. But eventually, they lock in defensively, and then their depth overwhelms teams. The front line of teams like Serbia, Australia, even to some extent when we get into like France and Germany and those teams, they're going to be competitive with the United States. The problem is when those guys go to their bench, they're going to their bench with high-level, like, European League players who are good players, don't get me wrong. And the United States is coming with all-NBA players off their bench, all-star level guys. And that's the difference. That's where they can kind of all right, played even, but then we're gonna take control when we both go to second units and the like. And that's been the thing. And I also think Steve Kerr kind of now has a little bit of a feel of, all right, I'm not going to play everybody. This is not the Team USA of roll out the ball, win by 40, everybody plays 10, 15, 20 minutes, and we all go home happy. We have to actually show up and play. We have to be competitive in these games because teams are going to push us. And I think now he's got a pretty good feeling on, all right, this is where we're going to go.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I've heard a lot of criticism about Joel Embiid. I saw the first game against Canada, and then I was able to see some of the Australian game. What have you seen from Joel Embiid, and kind of what is your approach of what they should do with this front court?
Yeah, he looks. He doesn't look fully healthy and ready to go to me.
Yeah.
Which is not unsurprising, right? We knew he was hurt at the end of the playoffs. Seems like he's still ramping up and getting into full shape. I think there are times when Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo are the better options in the front court because they're just a lot more versatile. And having just a drop back big doesn't necessarily always work on the international level. So that's going to be something we're going to keep an eye on. But I think what we do see is there's times when it's like, all right, nobody can handle this guy.
Right.
Like he still is, he's one of the best offensive bigs in the league, and he can be completely and utterly dominant, and that turns into, all right, like he's really, really good. So I don't know. I think if you're Steve Kerr, you have to be very smart and say, all right, there might be games and matchups where I have to pull the plug early and say I'm going to other guys, and then there's other times where it is, hey, put him out there against some European League center and let him eat on that guy, and in the bench minutes and let him dominate, and that'll be where it is. But there's obviously a lot of. He made a big commitment, not playing for France or Cameroon to come to play for the U.S. in this specific tournament and the like. My gut tells me this may be the only time we ever see him in this because he'll be in his mid-30s next time around.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think I think in the end he'll probably be fine, but you just have to be ready to change up and change course if you need to.
Yeah, well, I can't tell you how excited I am just for the Olympics in general, but definitely for the basketball portion of it. Like I said, I was able to catch the game against Canada and some of the Australian game. Just watching the exhibitions gets me fired up, so I know when it's actual competition, I will be very excited to watch it. But Keith, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week.
I appreciate it, Brian. I'll leave it with this.
Okay.
We also don't have to get up at like 2:30 in the morning to watch the games either. They're all on at reasonable times of the day for us, so that's a huge win as well. But you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Keith. Keith Smith joining us from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. Great point by him. I mean, we got lucky with the Olympics and the schedule for Team USA because all of them, I mean, middle of the day, but they're all going to be like, I'm not going to have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning if I want to watch them, which is going to be nice because, Zach, I'll be honest, I think Team USA is going to win very easily. Now, could that change next Olympics? It could, but I don't think they'll have much trouble with these teams this year.
They got to get the American eyeballs, man.
Well, and I think they know that. Like, I think I think the Olympics knows how dominant Team USA is, and the players on Team USA are not just players that Americans love and know. It's like, basketball is very much turning into a international game, at least the NBA is, and there are people in all sorts of countries that want to watch LeBron James play and want to watch Steph Curry and Kevin Durant and those type of players. So I definitely like that idea to put them at reasonable hours, at least for me, to watch them. Because I'm excited, Zach. I can't lie. I've got a Team USA hat that Melinda bought me and a shirt, so I'm just wait till next Friday.
USA.
I might like get some body paint. I think myself red, white, and blue and show up to work.
I think Team Serbia kind of like got everybody kind of juiced up.
Yeah. Because
with how they were playing.
Sure.
From the jump.
Yeah.
I think it got everybody kind of like, all right, it's enough with you goofies, man. Like that's it. That's it.
See, I didn't get to see any of that game. That was the one game I've missed. They have a couple more exhibitions.
Yeah, they do.
But
they'll be in London.
Oh,
and
really?
Then they'll make the trip from London to Paris.
little world tour for them. They were in Abu Dhabi for the last two. Three. How many exhibitions have they played?
It's supposed to be 5, am I right?
Right, but how many have they already played?
I think 3.
Yeah, but the first one was in Vegas, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So they've played 2 in Abu Dhabi, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm thinking.
I was just making sure. I was
no,
confused.
Because in my mind, I'm thinking that they had 2 games in Vegas, so that's why.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So no. I mean, I'm definitely eager to see another exhibition, but that was the one game I didn't get to see was against the Serbian team, and so I saw a lot of Australia. I saw a lot of. I saw all of Canada, and that was what really got me excited because going into it, that's what everyone was saying is, oh man, Canada's a good team. And so I was like, oh, they might struggle. I remember the line was like 10.5, 11.5, and I was like, oh, they might not cover. And then they won by 14, and it was the easiest 14-point win I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh no, this is going to be easy. So I'm excited. I'm trying to look. First game for Team USA, July 28th. What day of the week is that? I think it's Monday?
July 28th?
It's a Sunday. They play Sunday at 10:15 in the morning.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all. Against Serbia. I believe that's right. Yeah, that's right, because this is in my time in military time. So 10:15 would just be 10:15 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I like that. That's a good start time.
Why is your time in military time?
The website I'm looking at just has it in military time.
Okay.
I guess it's easier for them. And then they play Japan on the 29th, so the next day of that Monday, they play Japan at, now I'm going to have to do math, 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock.
What's the time on there?
1400.
Yeah, that's 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I can pick it up fast.
Okay.
I can pick it up. And then South Sudan also at 2 o'clock.
Okay, that's
on
perfect.
The 31st. So I'm excited. Let's. Oh, wait a minute. Were all of those men's games? I didn't know they had men and women in here.
Uh-oh. Yeah, because I'm like
Might have
Team
messed
Japan.
it up a little bit. Yeah.
Because I'm like Japan. I'm like, I don't think we played Japan.
Nope, that's the women's group, Zach. Yep, that's on me. I'll take that one.
It's all right. It's all right. We make mistakes.
Didn't know. I should have known, but I wasn't
South
thinking.
Sudan and Serbia is in.
That's men's.
And I think there's another one. I can't think of it.
Yeah, I don't want to look that far. If I'm being completely honest.
What you looking at the schedule?
I am, but the way it's lined up, I'm not a fan of it. It's a lot. It's in military time. Just not a fan of it. But no, I am excited. We get a couple of events before the Olympics, even like before the opening ceremony. So people need to remember that. I don't know if there are other people like me that will just watch every event if they can.
Mm-hmm.
But we have rugby. How much rugby you ever watched, Zach?
None.
I have not watched any rugby either. And then I knew several people that played rugby growing up, playing football. A lot of guys want to play both rugby and football. And then soccer. We've got soccer as well before opening ceremony starts. So it's going to be a lot of fun next week as the Paris Olympics kick off. But we need to go get to a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about what's trending. And we got to talk about the Tigers basketball team. The opponents were announced yesterday. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then I do want to start kind of previewing AAC Media Days next week down in Dallas, where we'll hear Coach Ryan Silverfield talk about his squad and what the season could be. But we'll talk about all of that next during What's Trending. You're listening to Sports Time.
Together, let's drive to the beach, to the lake, to the mountains, to anywhere in what you really want to drive in. I'm out here at Olive Branch at All-Star Chevy. Hundreds of new and pre-owned Silverados are out here right now, some marked 12% off invoice. Add up all the All-Star special discounts and look for Costco member deals. It's one sweet buyer's market with financing as low as 1.9. No payments for 90 days on a bunch of new All-Star Chevys. And nothing beats road trips in a new Tahoe. And get an extra $500 bonus if you're in healthcare healthcare, an educator, a college grad, military or first responder. And no matter what pre-owned you're looking for, it's here at Olive Branch. Jeeps, 4Runners, Expeditions, Navigators, all the trucks here in Olive Branch where you could drive them all. Bring any vehicle you want to sell and get a big check today. So let's go. Don't miss All-Star Chevy's special summer sale going on right now in Olive Branch, or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
For retro cruiser styling packed with modern innovations, riders of all skill levels choose a Honda Rebel. Incredible motorcycles with a stripped-down style and a full package of features. Both the 300 and the 500 offer compact power inside a lightweight frame. Combined with a low-slung seat, the Rebel is easy to start on. And with new colors from this year, they are impossible to ignore. Go to Bussetto Honda to check out the 2023 Honda Rebels. Cruisers with premium style and performance to enjoy every second. Use the street as a racetrack with the law with the owners of the
Summertime's finally here, and that means it's time to party. Lucky for you, Family Leisure is having a summertime to party sale. Now, what's all included in this party sale? Practically everything. 24-foot above ground pools for as little as $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and even robotic cleaners are 20% off. Come in and look at all of the in-stock patio furniture Family Leisure has. Plus, it's up to 50% off. Play gyms for the kids, that's $1,000 off. Patio umbrellas, take 20% off. You can get a 4-person hot tub for just under $3,000. We know you're really going to just use it for yourself. Family Leisure has discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while the supplies last, so you better get in quick. Plus, Family Leisure has special financing available. Just ask an associate for all the details. Summertime means party time, and Family Leisure is ready for any party. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Maybe you've driven by Sunrise on Jefferson or Sunrise East on Poplar and seen the full parking lot and thought you didn't want to have to wait forever for your breakfast or lunch. Well, here's the thing. At both Sunrise locations, their goal is to get you your order fresh and made just for you in 5 minutes or less. Sometimes they may not meet that goal, but the important thing is at Sunrise, they're trying to, because Sunrise only hires people that actually care about the customers. Whether it's breakfast or lunch, Sunrise on Jefferson and Sunrise on Poplar are doing their very best to give you the very best.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Wrapping up a couple of wrecks we had out here a little bit earlier. Finally starting to build over here with some more volume on 40 eastbound here at Sycamore View Road, headed on out towards Germantown Parkway into Fayette County. There's been radar over in Arkansas today, a little bit earlier actually, on I-40 before you get out to Forest City. It's now picking up with more volume 40 west as we stare at it live here up by Danny Thomas, headed across the Hernando de Soto Bridge. Havenly Showers, your curbless shower specialist. Transform your bathroom with a tub to curbless shower conversions. Check out havenlyshowers.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Zach with you as we got a little less than 30 minutes left in today's show. A couple different things to talk about during What's Trending. Zach, we've got football being played in a mall as we speak. How about that?
What?
A mall, shopping center. Football being played.
Like tackle
correct?
football with
yes.
pads?
With pads and helmets and balls. Yes, correct. Football's not whatever you thought.
soccer.
No, like
actual football, American football.
Yeah, like touchdown and field goal and that all that jazz.
Okay. That's new.
Yeah.
Where is it at?
Oh, good question, Zach. I actually don't know where it is. The Arena Football League is back. I don't know if you heard, but they are just completing their first season, their inaugural season back, and it's been an absolute disaster from start to finish. But today, somehow they've made it through the first season, and today is their championship game. And so instead of playing at a venue or at one of these teams' home arenas, they decided, you know what would be better than that? Let's play it in the middle of a mall. And so there's a mall, the Great American Mall or something like that.
That's in Minneapolis.
Is it?
Yeah, the Great American Mall. That's in Minneapolis.
Well, I don't know if that's the actual one. I need to look it up and see, actually. I should have been more prepared, if we're being honest, for the segment, if I thought I was going to bring it up. American Dream Shopping Mall. American Dream Shopping Mall. The American Dream Shopping Mall is in New Jersey. East Rutherford, New Jersey. So up north. But I guess this is something they do a lot. They'll have hockey, they'll put out a sheet of ice and you can go and skate around while you're at the mall, or they'll put on hockey games there and stuff like that. And so I guess they just decided we're gonna play our championship football game in there. And so you see, there's 3 different levels, and they're just people I think the first, at the complete bottom, they actually have seats that you can sit in. But the next 2 levels, it's just people hanging over the ledge, just watching football, and while they shop, just stopping and watching football. I don't know if I think it's a smart idea or not. It's certainly different. It's certainly going to get people talking about it.
I mean, if you're the husband, that's the
it's great.
The best of both worlds.
Babe, you want to go shop?
Hey, we go shopping.
By all means, go however many stores you want to go. I'll be right here.
Let's go to the American Dream Shopping Mall.
You want to shop for 2 hours? By all means.
And that's 2 hours of football.
Exactly. And you get to watch the Albany Firebirds versus the...
whoever. It doesn't matter. It's football.
I don't know who they're playing. Yeah, it's football. That's football. A great point, Zach. Who cares who's playing?
And then you're just tracking her spending on the app.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be even worse if you have one of those apps that alerts you every time your card's been charged.
$345.68.
That's right.
What did she spend?
Yeah, out of the joint account or whatever.
What did she spend?
But no, I think it's a good idea. The only question I have is how do you do tickets? Because if I'm just at the mall, you can't
premium seating.
Yeah, but how much money are you really making on premium seating?
If they want to sit down and watch it, they can.
I guess that's true. Well, it's interesting nonetheless. Hopefully it's a good game that's going on right now on CBS Sports Network, if anybody is curious and wants to watch it later.
Now, I got a series of questions now.
Okay, please. Hopefully I can answer them.
So, what happens...
We're not going to talk any Tigers here.
Because it just dawned on me. It's they're in the shopping mall. It's so what happens if there's an emergency?
In the game?
In the shopping mall.
What kind of emergency?
Hey, there's a fire over here. We need to evacuate everyone.
Well, I guess everybody just runs out of there, and you got a bunch of football players standing outside in their helmets and shoulder pads.
Okay.
How many fires happen in malls?
You never know.
I guess that's fair.
I didn't want to go to the extreme with an active shooter.
Well, that's where I thought you were going, and then I actually didn't have any answers.
I didn't want to go that far.
Yeah.
But
what in the world just happened on that TV over there?
What?
It was just flashing
they're letting you know the Olympics is on the way.
Love that. Interesting. It caught my attention. I could see it in the reflection of a mirror. I was like, or not a mirror, of a glass window. I was like, what is going on?
And then locker rooms. Where are they putting the locker rooms?
It's a great question. I guess they must have the infrastructure here. Like I said, I was reading up on this place when they first announced that they were gonna do it, and it's they've done this before. They've not football games, but they've had hockey games there and stuff like that. So they had to have had the infrastructure to do this before. And so I guess they've just
Yeah.
got a couple places. Maybe a couple stores have closed down and they're just using those as like locker rooms. I have no idea.
Now this shopping mall is on the Meadowlands Sports Complex
How about that?
in East
Wow.
Rutherford.
Wow.
So it's right next door.
Wow. Maybe a couple scouts in attendance. Doubt
Yeah,
it.
so it's right next door to the Meadowlands.
Good
so
for them.
That's hey, if you can pull it off, you can.
The epicenter of football in New York.
Yeah.
So that's nice. So that's interesting. I think they used to have like a theme park in this mall, maybe?
I think they still do.
Wow, what a mall.
I think they still do. I would be surprised if they don't.
Because I'm looking, I just like searched it up, and like I'm seeing these pictures of like Nickelodeon and like this like theme park that's very Nickelodeon themed that's in the mall. So I guess a very big mall. I want to go check it out now. But yeah, so that's your update on the Arena Football League and what they've got going on over there right now. Over towards the Tigers, Zach, we talked about this earlier today during Willow and Friends, but the opponents have been announced for Tiger basketball, and it's the American. You don't really know what to expect from the conference, especially this early. But if anybody missed it, home opponents in conference this year, home only, East Carolina, North Texas, and Tulsa. Road opponents, only road, Charlotte, UTSA, and Tulane, and then both home and away, UAB, FAU, USF, Temple, Wichita State, and Rice. Your thoughts on the conference opponents for the Tigers?
It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, like we mentioned earlier, it's just a matter of who's gonna be that second or third team that you could say that can put up a fight in the conference. Because in our minds, we thinking that the Tigers are going to be one of the best teams, if not the best team in the American.
Yeah.
But the question kind of resides is, like, what are the other teams doing?
That's a good question, because I think, you look around the conference, and I mentioned this earlier this morning, nobody expected USF to do what they did last year on the basketball side.
Yeah.
And it was a surprise. And it was a surprise for me. I mean, I remember looking at that team early in the season. I think I might have seen one of their games in non-conference being like, oh, this team might be kind of fun. And then conference rolls around, and, man, they just don't – they forget how to lose games. And it's just a bunch of guys that, were – JUCO guys or guys from small schools or had been recruited to USF, but now you look at that roster and a lot of those guys aren't there anymore. They're at bigger programs, and so I think like that's going to be how this conference is you really don't know what to expect because a team like USF could come out. I think there are good coaches in this conference. I really do. Now, take it with a grain of salt because I do kind of fall in love with college basketball coaches, but like I think there are good coaches in this conference. I think USF and Amir Abdur-Rahim has a really good coach, and so it's going to be like, can he develop these guys that he's brought in? You look at guys, brought in a guy from Florida State. He brought in a guy from Cincinnati. He brought in a 4-star high school player. So that's just one example with USF. But it's going to be interesting to kind of see this conference. And so right now it's hard to look at them. One thing I do know is I think UAB is going to be competitive this year. They bring back some guys from last year's team. Some guys they lost, which are big losses.
Right.
I personally think FAU is going to be better than what other people think they're going to be. I think they added some good players. They might not be like a really good team, but I think they're going to be fun to watch at the very least. I think North Texas, they'll continue to bring that kind of defensive mindset that really just makes it difficult when you play them. But it's definitely interesting, and I think you can see on the schedule, USF, I think they figure that, that's a good series, Memphis and USF. UAB, another one. FAU, I think, is something that they want to continue between Memphis and FAU. And then you've got some teams that you're familiar with, like Temple and Wichita State, and then obviously you throw Rice in there. I do hate, and we talked about this earlier, I hate that Tulane is just road. I think that's one that I wish every year it can be both home and away. I also hate it because Memphis has struggled at Tulane for the last couple of years. And so, if anything, I would have liked to get that game at home. I know a lot of people within the team, within the media, are happy that East Carolina is just at home. I don't know if you've ever heard this, Zach, but anytime Memphis plays in East Carolina, whether it's football or basketball, I always hear how difficult it is to get there. I mean, it's like extremely hard to get
getting to East Carolina.
It's like there's not really an airport near it, and so you have to fly to an airport and then like rent a car, and then it's like a pretty good drive to get to East Carolina. It's like kind of in the middle of nowhere, is what I've heard. So I know a lot of people excited about that being a home only. But then we talked about this earlier. The guys, and this is the last thing I'll say about it because I know we need to get to a break. The guys that have joined this team from other programs in the conference. You've got Haggerty, who's not going to go back to Tulsa. Tulsa comes here and only here. You've got Carter from UTSA, who will go back to UTSA and play in that gym that he played in last year. And then you've got Colby Rogers, who we'll see Wichita State twice next year, which will be interesting, and we'll see how he can play against his former team and what he can do. But I'm excited about the season. I'm excited about the team that Penny Hardaway put together, and see. We know what that non-conference slate looks like. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Nobody can say anything about Penny Hardaway and the non-conference slate that he puts together. But you just kind of have to do, with what this conference is when it comes to the conference slate. And just because this conference is weak, we saw it last year, doesn't mean this conference isn't going to be competitive. And so you've got to go out there every single game and, play your best game, or last year will happen again. And I don't think anybody wants to see that. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, still a good amount of time before basketball gets here. Football definitely before, and we'll have media days next week. We'll touch on that a little bit during Taco Bell Crunch Time. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up today's show. We'll wrap up this week with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Gracie's Kitchen in Memphis would like to say thank you to all the local men and women out in armed forces who risked their lives daily to preserve our freedom and way of life. That's Gracie's Kitchen at 7185 Stage Road in Memphis. We're going to tune in for great food, friendly service, and a relaxing atmosphere. Bring the family and friends for experiences. Coming back. Call Gracie's Kitchen at 901-385-1319.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Fiveash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square. Fun, friendly, exciting, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs for all your favorite games, 24 taps for all your favorite beers, including NA and local craft beers, and an in-front-of-the-wall full bar for all your other favorite beverages, including a full wine list. And in an upscale menu, patio seating, daily specials, and events, and you found all your sports in the one right place. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square, Highway 70.
Around here at Wrangler, we are all excited for spring. The longer days, the warmer nights. When you've got your pick of shorts and jeans, either works just fine. Blue skies, open roads. Wrangler, for the ride of life.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Zach, what I learned today is that SEC Media Days are behind us. Next week, American Athletic Conference Media Days take place in Dallas, and it's going to be interesting to see a lot of different things. I'm curious to hear Ryan Silverfield talk, and I believe once we see the voting for those preseason polls, Memphis will be, and I think very easily will be number one in the conference. But I'm curious to see how it's voted behind them. You've got Tulane that comes in with a new head coach, a new quarterback, a lot of new pieces, but looks like they brought in good pieces. You've got UTSA, who has played really well the last couple of seasons. There's some other teams out there that can make things interesting, like USF, who's got a great young quarterback and a really fun coach.
Golich looks like he's poised to ramp up that Tennessee-like offense down in South Florida. So.
No, you're absolutely right. So I'm really excited to hear from all of these coaches and what they have to say at Media Days. I think only 2-day Media Day next week in Dallas. So very quick, gonna get in and out, but it's gonna be fun to hear these coaches talk. And I also I believe ACC Media Days are next week as well, which is going to be very interesting because you've got new teams coming into that conference, a new team coming into the American. We'll hear from Army as well, but ACC, you've got 3 teams coming in July 22nd through the 25th. So, that'll take place next week. We'll be interested to hear from Cal, Stanford, and SMU as they enter the conference. Ditto on what you learned today.
What I learned.
Oh, here we go.
What I learned is at the back half of the summer here.
That's right. Sure is.
Looking at it,
it's gonna be a sprint.
This is a fun sprint into the fall season. You talk about obviously summer league is going to get us has been good to us.
Yep.
Was the MLB's been pretty good so far, kind of like helping to bridge the gap. But next week, it's the Olympics.
Oh yeah.
And I'm Mr. Olympic over here, Brian.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know about you, but I'm Mr. Olympic.
No, I love the Olympics.
So the Olympics is in action for at least the next month and a half or so. Then following the Olympics, you got NFL preseason.
Oh yeah.
Following NFL preseason, you got college football. Right after college football, you got the NFL season. And right after NFL season, you got the NBA season.
Oh, man.
So it is nothing but a full sprint to the end of 2024. It's kind of crazy that I'm saying the end of 2024, but
Yeah, we're just halfway there, Zach.
We are in a full sprint.
No,
there.
you're right about that, and you were kind of the first person that made me even think like, holy cow, things are about to get crazy, because I did not realize Hall of Fame game August 1st, 2 weeks from yesterday. We'll be in Canton watching. I guess we won't be there, but the entire world will be coming together to around their televisions to watch what's going on in Canton for that game on Thursday night. So that's definitely going to be a lot of fun to watch. But you're right, Olympics, then that, the rest of NFL preseason, right into college football will definitely be a blast to watch. What I could have done without, it's got to be. Honestly, I'm glad that All-Star Game is over with. It's fun. I think there are ways you can fix it. But it's the same thing with every All-Star event.
Yeah.
And I get it. These guys need time off. I think they should get the time off. But Brett and I have been talking a lot about this. Is Major League Baseball has this window where there's not much going on in the sports world, and you have to capitalize on that window. They did a very poor job of capitalizing on it before the trade deadline, and I'm worried that now really only a week, maybe 2 weeks to capitalize on it before everybody's attention shifts to the Olympics. I'm worried they're not going to capitalize on those couple of weeks to try to get a more a bigger fan base from maybe some casual fans that are just looking for some sports to watch right now.
Right.
But we'll see if they can do that. But that's all the time we have today. Enjoy your weekend. If I had to beam somewhere, beam me to this Cardinals game tonight against the Braves. That should be a lot of fun. Alan Bell likes the over in that one, but that's all the time we have. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you again Monday afternoon.
If the woman of your dreams has been searching online for the perfect engagement ring, she's figured out there's a few brand names that are worthy of consideration. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and she doesn't want a plain, ordinary cookie-cutter ring.